I'm not changing. We are talking about bad that he is doing. No, we're not. We're not talking about bad that he's doing.
So when you're giving like examples and stuff, you're
No,
like,
wait,
well,
wait,
here's a
no, hold on.
stop.
No, you
no.
just
Let me
on.
say what I need to say. You
no.
jerk.
You can't just say, well, that's just what I'm hearing.
Yes,
How
I can.
am I exactly? Because I
Why?
can't explain why it's toxic, but you can't explain why it's toxic. Yet you do think it's toxic. So when we were talking about, when we were just, no, you did not. You just named a bunch of things and said, and I think that's toxic. That she's way hotter than
stop.
you. No, you can't separate these. I'm trying
Yes,
to.
I can.
No, then do it. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Different kind of insecurity.
That's not illogical. That's not
No, it's
illogical.
completely illogical. It's
It is
illogical.
not. You
It's
don't know
garbage
what
and
logic is. You
Yes,
don't know what logic
I know what
is.
logic
You think
is
that's
when you're
illogical.
saying
All right.
it's illogical.
If you're
It's
gonna yell
absurd
over
and
me
stupid.
every time I start talking, I gotta just like remove you because I'm trying to have a conversation. You're coming in and just diverting onto something completely different.
Understand who this man is. He was supposed to be here today, so you guys would have had interactions with him. We have a few videos we'd like you to play. Trigger warning.
Yeah.
Donovan Sharpe, hosts a podcast, Donovan Sharpe channel on YouTube. It's all about the red pill, relationships, and dating. He's unapologetically masculine, and he runs a conference called the Conference for Masculine Excellence.
Ooh.
Claudine has already shaken her head. She hasn't even seen a video of him.
Yeah, bring your dad and have him pay for the dinner. That would be, dude. Could you imagine? Oh my goodness. Could you imagine a girl's dad coming with you to the first date and then he pays for the dinner? Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah. But again, he was supposed to be here today. He couldn't make it, so he's joining us via Zoom. We're going to watch a couple quick clips so you get a feel for what he is, and then we'll have a brief conversation with Donovan, and we can have this conversation together. So here's a question. Here's a clip of Donovan and his wife, or soon-to-be wife, Devin. You got this? There's 3 of them.
Well, if I want to go have a beer with my friends,
Yeah.
I'll ask him, can we go? So we can go together.
And would you ever say, hey, sure, it's fine, honey? Or no, that is line in the sand.
I'm not her father. I can't tell her what she can or can't do. I can control what I do. If she wants to go to the bar with her friend, that's perfectly fine. But at that point, she becomes a woman that I do not commit to.
Well, if I want to go have a beer...
Okay, so to be clear, she cannot go to the bar by herself. She would only have to go with him, or she potentially cannot even go to the bar. Let's play the second clip.
Can we just skip sex tonight? I think I'm getting a headache.
Okay.
Babe, can you please take out the trash?
Nope.
Sorry, babe. I have a terrible headache.
That is so bad, dude. Oh my goodness. That is so bad. That is so bad. Oh no. That is so bad. Yikes. The like holding sex as this like transactional thing in your relationship. Eye for an eye, Tom? It's not eye for an eye, dude. Hell no, bro. Using sex as this like transactional thing where like you don't give me sex, I don't do my jobs within the relationship. Like that's freaking wild, bro. And they didn't say like, it wasn't like they showed them doing it like a bunch of times, right? So let's say there's like 10 times in a row she's not doing it and she's like, yeah, sorry, headache. Oh, I'm a little bloated. Sorry, I've been farting all night, you know? I don't know, I feel like I gotta take a big dump. Sorry, I'm on my period. I'm bleeding all over the place. Like, sure, okay, now that you've shown this, like, you know, pattern of behavior here, sure, like now it seems like there's you're kind of like losing interest in the relationship and you're making a lot of excuses not to be intimate with the other person. And so now it makes sense if all of a sudden you don't start doing some of your duties and you don't feel so committed to her and you don't want to take care of her because you feel like she's not taking care of you. But you're talking about one day she says no, and now you turn around and are like, you don't want to have sex with me? Ha, then I'm not going to do things for you. I'm not going to take out the trash. You'll have to do that yourself. Then you'll have sex with me next time, won't you? Yeah, you will. Yeah, next time you don't want to have sex, you'll have sex anyways. Won't you? Like, that's what this is. That's what this is him being like, you'll think twice about not wanting to have sex next time. Like, that's so gross, dude. That is so disgusting.
Hey, babe, the tire has a nail in it. Can you fix it, please?
Nope.
Whoa!
Remember, guys, if she doesn't uphold her end of the bargain,
Then you don't uphold yours.
Oh my god, this.
That is so gross, dude. That is so gross. These people are disgusting. These people are disgusting.
This is so cringe.
Gotcha.
Literally,
Okay, so
Oh my
she
God.
can't go to the bar by herself,
I can't, girl. I'm like,
and if she withholds sex, he withholds masculine
maybe
duties.
it's a good thing that he didn't make the flight.
What's that?
Maybe it's a good thing he didn't make the flight.
Okay.
You're gonna.
And then
love
here's
it.
the last clip of Donovan Devon. Go ahead.
I'm going to the bathroom.
All right.
Yeah, now you also don't now you don't pick up the kids from school because she took a dump. And women don't do number twos. Okay? If she's going to do number twos, you don't go pick up the kids from school. Leave those kids there. Next time, when you have new kids, she'll stop taking dumps so that you go pick up the kids next time and you get to keep them.
I told you I don't commit to women who take their phones into the bathroom.
I just forgot this one time, okay?
Oh my.
Okay.
So, are we good then?
Should we go to the bathroom?
Yep. I called you an Uber.
This is so petty.
Call it what you want, but this is how I move, and you've known this from the start.
Ladies, don't pretend you've never texted an ex in the bathroom.
Or swiped for sausage on Tinder while in the shower.
Or God knows what else you don't want your man to find out about.
It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I hate this guy so much. He is so stupid.
So do you agree or disagree with the reason my girlfriend kicked herself out of my place? Let me know in the comments.
She kicked herself.
Okay. She kicked herself out. So Donovan's going to join us in 1 second. So just to be clear, and you guys can have this conversation with him. We'll have him in a second.
Oh, I'm
She can't go to the bar by herself. If she withholds sex, he withholds doing manly duties, and she's not allowed to use her phone in the bathroom. Well, she made that decision, and then she broke up with herself, basically. So again, unfortunately, he wasn't able to connect his flight. He wasn't able to be here. But I believe we have Donovan, who's been watching the show the whole time. And let's have this conversation with Donovan. Donovan Sharpe, are you there?
So MLD stopped going on. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So he is setting this up in a way where if he was my friend, I might be like, bro, you are like trying your best to make me look bad. And you're wording things like in a really bad way. This is weird. MLD stopped going on because he said that he didn't like the way that they were portraying him, that they kept trying to was MLD a regular on the show? He went on a bunch of times, yeah. But that's your content though. So I agree. I'm just telling you that like these guys are all very sensitive red pill dudes, right? They're all very sensitive, and they think that if you do content with each other, you're friends now, right? And like one of the things that MLD brought up is the fact that Destiny went and did content with just Pearly Things, and then talked about how wrong just Pearly Things was afterwards. And he thought that that was super messed up of Destiny. That was super messed up, man. How could he do that? He went on a show with me on whatever podcast, and then he went back to his stream and talked about how wrong I was about a bunch of stuff. Like, this is how they act. They're a bunch of little babies who cry about every little thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Donovan Sharpe gets really upset about the way he's setting this up.
Duties, and she uses her phone in the background. Okay.
You have something playing in the
She
background.
have that playing in the
You have
background.
something playing in the background.
Donovan, can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Audio?
Hear you? Yep.
There we
I
All
got
right. We good? Can you hear me?
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
Yes. So you saw the intro. Unfortunately, you missed the flight. I get it. There was connection issues. We were, just to be clear, he was texting me all day. Hey, delay, but he's here. But I didn't want this opportunity to be missed. I'm sure you saw a good portion of the show. What's your take on what the ladies are saying so far?
Yeah, a typical response. And to me, this is neither good nor bad. The way dating is, it's an indictment on men and women. We are every bit as responsible for the demise of dating and the nuclear family as women are now. This would not have happened without feminism, but women couldn't even do feminism without men. And so women who call themselves feminists need to thank men that the feminist movement was indeed successful, because without men, you wouldn't have feminism. But yeah, this is just the way things are, man. I try to tell my guys what to look for.
What? How did that go off to that? How did he go off to that? Like he just had that locked and loaded. Like he was gonna shove that in there somehow. Some way, somehow. Hey, what do you think about what the women are saying about your like crappy behavior in all of these videos about your habits with your partner? I mean, men gave women feminism, so I mean, you gotta thank us for that. Am I right?
Because like the hot boring girl who is the model, the high school dropout, what she said is true. A girl.
Hey Donovan, black people couldn't. Good one, Sick. Thank you. So glad you popped up for that one, Sick. Well done. Good job. Hey Donovan, no. You don't get another try. You don't get another try. We're removing that chat. Yeah, that one's deleted. Nope. You're sticking with the first one.
Could have 50 bodies and you would never know. Well, she's absolutely right, but this is why I teach my guys: pay attention, what to look for, what to ask for. You don't, and never ask her how many guys have you slept with, because she's going to tell you 2 when the number's probably closer to 222. Don't ask a girl what her body count is, guys. She's never going to tell you the truth, and to that point, it matters, but she's never going to tell you the truth. So instead of asking her what her body count is, do the non-lazy thing and observe. When you have conversations with her, pay attention. There's so many men who sleepwalk through their relationships that when they get blindsided by their soon-to-be ex-girlfriend or ex-wife's infidelity, the question they always ask,
I'm just kidding. Six said, hey Donovan, black people couldn't be free without white people. What does he say to that? True. Oh, I didn't realize we got a super chat from Seal Club. He said Brittany made great and salient points. Her argument is very interesting and informative, and I totally never heard her before, but am a fan now. True, Seal Club. I totally believe that you just like happen to be in my chat consistently. Every time I watch her or talk to her, you just pop up out of nowhere. But hey, you've never heard of her before somehow.
How could I miss it? Well, you missed it because you weren't paying attention. That's just really all there is to it.
What do you mean by paying attention?
Paying attention to what? Paying attention to the things that she says. So, for example, if she talk about her ex-boyfriend, she's probably not over her ex-boyfriend. If she's ever lived alone, if a girl has ever lived alone, she is far more likely to have a higher body count because there aren't people around to indirectly shame her. See, when a girl has roommates or she lives with her friends, she can still get it in with a bunch of guys, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because she doesn't want to have to do the walk of shame in front of her roommates or family, uncles, whatever the case may be. Ask her when she talks about her relationship. Say, well, how have you gone without being in a relationship? Whatever the number she gives, we know that most women sleep around indiscriminately. So if she tells you 1 year, 2 years, you can bet your ass that she was not in some convent waiting for Jesus Christ himself to show her Mr. Right. No, she was up under every Tom, Dick, Harry, and Jamal, just like every other girl. This doesn't make her a bad person. This doesn't make women bad, doesn't make them evil, doesn't make them terrible. But this is how they are. And I teach my guys to deal with women the way they are rather than the way we think they should be or the way we think they, how can I put this? Instead of wishful thinking, I just keep it all the way real. I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to tell you how it is. I'm going to tell you how it is.
OMG, Tom, he said your name. That's because they're not under every Tom. They're just under one.
But I'm not going to leave out any specific details, I guess, to sugarcoat anything.
Got
if
it.
That makes sense.
Ladies, you've seen some clips of Donovan. I can assure you, Donovan, you correct me if I'm wrong, he's not doing it for clicks and views. That is his relationship, okay? He sets standards and boundaries with his girlfriend, soon-to-be wife. You've heard what he had to say about relationships. What questions do you have? Claudine, you look like you have something that you would like to ask him.
I don't. I think I just wasted 3 minutes of my time watching something that was an important one. Two, I think that's just their prerogative.
Yeah.
Right. I think even when you asked him the question, he was just typical. First of all, like that's like undermining women as a body of people.
Yeah. How does that undermine women? I said that's the typical response, and all of you said basically the same thing. You guys proved my point.
Okay.
For which part?
Yeah, that's a checkmate.
Yeah, that's checkmate. Yeah, got him. That's checkmate.
All right. Oh, here we go.
No,
this is one thing that I really like. The lawyer. Hold on. Hold on. This is what I really like about the lawyer lady and the lady sitting next to your right with accent. She's got I don't want to be disrespectful, but she has nice sized bosoms. She's got the tattoo, and when we have to argue in good faith. We have to have conversations in good faith. Anytime you're talking to someone or debating a topic and they never want to lock you down on one thing. You say, well, what are relationships like? Define relationships. Well, relationships have trust. Okay, we'll define trust. What we have to understand is that no, not everything is black and white, but not everything is gray area either. There are certain absolute that are in place. It's essential to life. So if we're going to have intelligent conversations like this, let's stop asking questions after questions. We know what a relationship is. We know what trust is. We know what an attractive person is when we see them. Let's talk in generalities because we know the world is not optimal at theirs.
Okay, I had a question if I can ask.
Yes.
Yeah, so why would you kick
the lady with the big bosoms
person out if they're going to the bathroom and they take their phone with them?
I'm not kicking out my girlfriend. She kicked herself out.
She kicked herself out by going to the bathroom.
Well, I just want to say this. I have 2 small children, and I find, and this is not a joke. This isn't. Oh no, you hold on.
Wait,
no, you hold on.
No, baby. No, you hold on.
We're just gonna keep going back and forth.
See again. Here we go. Here we go.
I'll so insecure. Like you're not saying
so
insecure.
It's so funny. It's funny how.
I'm insecure.
I want you to listen for a second. I have 2 small children. And let me tell you, one of the most quietest spaces for me is in the bathroom, literally, and I'm gonna say this, on the toilet. And I do have my phone with me because it's a space
One of the loudest places for me.
of quiet. And I have a living nanny, I have a good support team. But something about that bathroom and that quiet space, to me, for me, that works for me. So just because it doesn't work for him doesn't mean it should apply to all.
You're just projecting your insecurities onto the person that you're with because
See, okay, so this is so dumb, and this is what women do all the time, and this is actually obnoxious. Women, stop doing this. Stop doing this. You gotta stop doing this. This is actually really gross. It really is. It's really gross, okay? Every single time a guy has an insecurity, you start bringing up that it's an insecurity as though that's like checkmate, right? Got him. Oh, you have an insecurity. Ha! You're a man. You're not supposed to have insecurities. Only women have insecurities. Ha ha. You're a man. You have an insecurity. Ha 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 ha. It's so gross. It's so disgusting. Stop bringing up that it's an insecurity as though this is just automatically a bad thing and they took an L because they're insecure about something. This is so dumb. This is really gross. It's really stupid. I hate it. I can't stand it. Every freaking time something comes up, some woman is standing there like, oh, well, that's just your insecurities. Like, this is, it's meant to be emasculating. That's what it's meant to be. That's the point in it. That's why women do it. It's because men are not supposed to have insecurities. They're not supposed to have feelings. They're not supposed to have their own preferences. They're not supposed to have any of these things. They're just supposed to be secure. Always secure. Always stoic. No, you got to be the most secure because you have a penis. No insecurities. It's kind of obnoxious. It's kind of gross. I can't stand it. You can make an argument for why this is bad without it ever bringing up that's an insecurity. The insecurity part has nothing to do with it being bad. The insecurity has literally no room in this conversation. It can be an insecurity and be good. It can be an insecurity and be bad. You bringing up that it's an insecurity does not mean anything. It means literally nothing. It means literally nothing. Nothing whatsoever. When you're having this conversation, the main thing is that this is a boundary that is too much to ask of another person. It's too much to ask, and that you're and that you're kind of like forcing them to do something that they should not have to do. That is the thing that you're bringing up, right? Or you bring up that, like, you know, are you allowed to take your phone in the bathroom? Is that an okay thing for you to do? And if he says, no, I'm not allowed to take my phone in the bathroom either, then you're, oh, okay, cool. Like, no problem. Who cares then? But if your answer instead is, well, yeah, it's an insecurity, then yeah, like, you already lost. You already lost. People having insecurities is not a bad thing. People can be insecure. Men are allowed to be insecure. It's allowed. Okay. Women, get used to it. Men have insecurities. Okay. You're gonna have to suck it up and be a man about it. Okay.
Probably also insecure.
Because just because you feel like
red pill men are very insecure, it's okay to call out. It's okay to call it out. But the thing is that when you say, I'm calling it out, you are saying it's bad to have insecurities. That's what you're saying. It's bad to have insecurities. When you say, I'm calling it out, this is what you're saying, is you only call out bad things, right? You're not going to call out good things. Oh, it's fine to call out that you got a good haircut, right? Nobody does that, okay? You're calling it out because you're saying it's a bad thing. Having insecurities is not necessarily a bad thing. Guys can have insecurities. But nobody ever says to women, oh, it's just your insecurities. Oh, it's just your insecurities. Like, nobody says this to women because women are allowed to have insecurities. Women are allowed to be insecure about everything all the time. They can be the most insecure, and they'll use this as a defense all the time. They use this as a defense all the time. But I'm insecure about that. And then everybody has to be like, oh, she's insecure about that. She's insecure. Did you hear her? Did you guys hear her? Oh my goodness, she's insecure about that. Oh no, we gotta put up like a freaking brick wall around this freaking chick because we just found out she's insecure about this. It's insane, okay? It's insane. Women are allowed to be insecure about whatever the hell they want. But you bring up men's insecurities just to be emasculating. It's gross. It is actually disgusting. And I see all of you getting defensive because you're all getting called out right now. And yes, when I say you're getting called out, I'm saying this is a bad thing that you do. This is a bad thing that you do when you walk around making it sound like men cannot have insecurities. That's what you're doing. You are acting like men can't have insecurities. And so I got to get super defensive now because I walk around saying like, you know, men should be open about their feelings and men need to stop raging and, you know, they need to stop penting up all of their stuff. But also, if they're honest about their insecurities and honest about things that they don't want people to do, then you're going to use it against them at the same freaking time. It's gross. It's literally gross. No one is saying that. This is literally what they just did. If you're defending that, that is what they are doing. That's what they just did, is they just brought up that it's an insecurity because that is the bad thing. Just saying it's an insecurity is automatically an L for a man because that is emasculating. Men are not supposed to have insecurities. So just say the man has an insecurity and that's the end of it.
That's something that you would do doesn't mean that that's something
Pack
that your
my
person
suitcase
will
and
do.
put it at the
Yeah,
door.
like because I mean, it's just to me.
I'm changing the locks. I don't care.
Yes, like all of you, yes, Dave hit the nail on the freaking head. You guys saying cope is you doing exactly what I'm talking about. You are literally doing the toxic thing that I am calling out right now. You are doing the toxic thing that I'm calling out right now. If this is toxic femininity right here, right now. We need to just like stop the show. I'm blown away that there's this many women in my chat that are this toxic right now. Okay. That you're all like this insanely toxic that you think this is okay. This is gross. This is like very, very gross behavior. It really is. This is that. And then turning around and saying cope as a response is disgusting. Like this is an intervention we need to have right now. Okay. This is so gross. Like this, you cannot use insecurities as a bullet to hit the person. Like that. They can have insecurities. That's okay. Just saying insecurity is not the bad thing. Okay. There's a ton of other things. You can have bad things that come from insecurities, but that's the insecurity is not the bad thing. It's the stuff that's coming from it. They can have the insecurity.
I totally understand. Donovan, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I don't know what your two kids has to do with my boundaries, standards, and expectations. I'm very happy. Now, what you've accomplished, and I'm not being facetious here, because I want people to really understand just how, and I'm not being facetious, you are an exceptional individual.
Yeah, I'm not changing y'all's freaking flat tires.
You had a kid at 14. When I was 14, honestly, man, I probably didn't even know what the hell sex was at 14 years old. You had a kid at 14. And you still managed to get married. I don't know how many other kids you have. You've got a beautiful family and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like here's, okay, so nobody's doing this. Okay, so here's Sass right here. If your insecurity is bad and affecting others, then call it out. The insecurity, you are literally saying the insecurity is bad. You are saying it right there. You are doing the thing that I'm calling out. Don't keep acting like I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you, Sassafras, okay? Let me find another one. This is a lame insecurity, but insecurities are normal. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. We got any more? We got any more in here? No, men can't be insecure when they project that they aren't insecure. Sure. But that's different. You're not calling out the insecurity then. Like, but that's what was said is like, call out the insecurity. It's okay to call out the insecurity. This is the point, is calling out the insecurity is just meant to be emasculating. Like that's literally the entire point in it, is just call out the insecurity and it's meant to be emasculating. Tomfoolery Show, you sound insecure about your insecurities. That's what it is. Yeah. But yes, like everybody has insecurities. Everybody has insecurities. It's not a problem to be insecure. That's not a problem. Like we exist within monogamous relationships because of insecurities. Like everybody's monogamous because they're all freaking insecure. But you're not calling out everybody in a monogamous relationship, right? Like you don't go have sex with another guy and then come back to your husband with like cum all over your face and be like, stop complaining about the cum on my face. You're so insecure. Like nobody does this because insecurities are fine. It's like the insecurity is not the bad thing.
But sweetheart, you are the outlier. Your situation is not the norm. Number one. Number two, I don't care about your 2 kids. Your 2 kids have nothing to do with my boundary standards and expectations. Now let me address the other girl, and then I guess we'll go back to whoever wants to ask me a question. You asked me, why did I kick her out? I didn't kick her out. She kicked herself out. Because at the beginning of the relationship, I told her, I do not commit to women who go to bars or clubs. You know what she asked me? So I can't go to the bars or clubs? No, you can do whatever you want. Okay, so what happens with us? Well, if you engage in one of these activities...
No, Thomas framing chat's argument. I didn't frame chat's argument. I framed the lady's argument on there, and then people started saying that I was wrong and defending what she did. I didn't frame. Chat is not a thing, okay? I'm not arguing against chat. Chat is not a thing. But there are people, when I'm saying that woman is wrong and they're saying no, boo Tom, it's okay to call out insecurities. I'm not framing chat, I'm framing the people who are defending that.
That I don't commit to, then you are in essence forfeiting the relationship.
Okay. Thomas framing chat's argument, insecurities usually are bad. No, they're not. We don't talk about them as abnormal, but we don't talk about them as abnormal, but we don't talk about them as neutral or good things. They are mostly rooted in trauma. That none of this is true. Literally none of that is true. Or illogical thinking. It's bad to call out insecurities as a bludgeon. If an insecurity doesn't match the person's actual experience or as a circular nature, it should be called out. Yeah, but that doesn't matter if all you're doing is saying you're projecting your insecurities. And then that's it. That was her entire argument. That was her whole argument. Okay? Her whole argument was you're just projecting your insecurities. That was her whole argument. It was the entire thing.
You don't need my permission to go to the bar or the club. You're a grown-ass woman. I'm not your father. I'm not trying to tell you what you can or can't do. I also don't commit to women who are on social media. Are you telling me that I have to turn off my social media? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that you can either have social media or you can be in a...
Was he not? Yes, he was. It doesn't matter. That's the point. Yes, he was. And it doesn't matter. You're allowed to project your freaking insecurities. Like, if you are insecure, you're allowed to put boundaries on your relationship because of those insecurities. That's a normal freaking thing to do. That's a normal thing to do. Saying you're just projecting your insecurities. That's not weird. That's normal. But you're only thinking it's not normal because it's a guy.
Or you can be in a relationship with me, but you're not going to do both. She agreed to it, and in 7.5 years, she hasn't violated anything that I'm aware of.
That is okay. That's what I'm saying. I understand. Again, the point is that the woman is using it as a bludgeon. Her entire argument was, you're projecting your insecurities. That was her whole argument, right? Like, we all agree, right? That was her whole argument. You're projecting your insecurities. OMG, Tom is full on MGTOW now. Yeah, you guys cannot be this gross. Like, truly. I don't believe you. You have to be trolling me if you're actually like this evil of human beings. I cannot act like, I cannot continue on believing I have this many evil people in my chat right now. That just saying that you're projecting your insecurity is not an argument. She said you should let your partner use the phone in the bathroom, and your rule is stupid due to insecurity. What is wrong with that? Again, so I started off by saying, if you ask him, like, are you allowed to use the bathroom with your phone? Like, it's possible that she has literally the same insecurity and that she's not okay with him going into the bathroom with his phone. And this, yeah, there would be absolutely no issue with this rule whatsoever. If he's the only one placing that rule on her, and but she says, look, you're insecure about that, but I'm not, then it still doesn't matter. Like, it's still okay to do. It's still not a big deal. It's not that, like, that's not a problem. If he has that insecurity and he's afraid, but she's not, then it doesn't matter. We agree, but disagree that women say men are insecure to be emasculating. No shot, dude. No shot. Women definitely do this. They definitely do this. Like, we pointed that was definitely what was happening right there, and we pointed this out so many other times. Women just do this. Like, nobody says you're being insecure to a woman. Nobody says that. Nobody ever says you're just insecure to a woman. They only say that to men. They only say that to men. But the woman on the panel did nothing wrong. She just offered her opinion. I like, again, I disagree. This is like saying, like, you know, like, women are trying to coerce and trick men by wearing makeup. It's just my opinion. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just saying women are always trying to coerce and trick men by wearing makeup. Like, this is something that you're concocting an argument that's going to hit almost every woman. And then while you're doing that, acting like, you know, oh, whoa. This isn't sexist. I'm not being sexist here. Just giving you my opinion. Like, no. Not a big deal, okay?
And so that's where the rule comes in. That would be different if in the middle of the relationship, I all of a sudden just reversed skate, right? You know what?
That's true.
I don't want you talking I don't want you using your bathroom in the...
If a man doesn't want his girl posting thirst traps on Instagram, they get them demonized for their insecurities, yes. Or demonetized too. Hopefully. But yes, they get demonized for their insecurities. Yes, it is. Men are consistently demonized for their insecurities. But if women have insecurities, like, we want to accommodate them. And that's a good thing. Like, we should want to accommodate people's insecurities. Now, that doesn't mean that you can take that insecurity to the ends of the earth and ask anything and everything of the person, right? Like, it's not okay to there are lines and barriers to these things, but mostly within a relationship, there's, like, you're able to have an agreement. When he starts off by saying, well, we start off the relationship with her understanding that this is like a rule that I have, and then when she does it, she understands that I'm not going to be with her. He's saying that, like, they came to this agreement together and that it's okay. Why are some insecurities bad, Tom? I don't know what you're talking about. Stop lumping them together. I have no idea what you're saying. You're just saying random stuff right now.
Phone anymore. Well, if I didn't make that clear before I committed to her, that's my fault. And at that point, I'm the one with the problem. But guess what? I was the one that established these boundaries, standards, and expectations from the start. And I let her know, look, you can do whatever you want. Just understand that actions have consequences. Whether they are good or bad is completely up to you.
So here's my question. If whether
Yes.
you think his boundaries, standards, and expectations are ridiculous or not, if he sets them up front, hey, listen, I don't commit to women that go to bars and clubs. here's my phone bathroom rule. Hey, this is what I stand for. Isn't it incumbent on the woman to say, yeah, that's absurd, I'm not in on this?
For sure.
Or, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I love you enough to play ball.
Yeah.
Rather
Because
you
there's a
tell me
famous
exactly
saying in
what you
the
want.
red pill community, a man says to a woman, if you submit, I'll commit. So clearly she has submitted
Yeah.
her will, or whatever you want to, her body, her volition, to him. So you might find what he's saying extreme, but ultimately isn't on the woman that made that decision to say, you know what? If he told me up front, all right, cool, let's roll. What are your thoughts now?
Yeah, I think that it is up to a woman to.
Sure, he can do what he wants, but I can call it weird if I like. Again, we're not talking about like people thinking that some insecurities are weird. She didn't say this is one type of insecurity that I think is weird, because if that was the case, you just wouldn't mention the insecurity part, right? You would just mention the weird part. And she didn't say, oh, well, this is one type of insecurity that I think is bad, because then you would just talk about the bad parts. Instead, you call it an insecurity. You do that. Like, again, this is the point. I don't know how this is so hard when we've talked about like the way that people talk about black people, the way that people talk about women, the way that they like adjust their language consistently to add in a bunch of other things that are meant to be derogatory and offensive. Like, this is not that hard. This is not that difficult. You're not just like, oh, I'm just giving my opinion. Like, I think black people would be better as slaves. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, people can disagree. I'm just saying, like, they would just be better as slaves. Like, this isn't that difficult. We're talking about like people being allowed to have insecurities, but if there are negative things that come from it, then you talk about the negative things, not about the insecurity. Because if you talk about the insecurity, now the problem is the insecurity, right? It's the problem is that you're insecure. But that's not the problem. The problem is the negative things that come from it.
Accept, what a man's willing to give or not give in the beginning of the relationship. But to me, my question would be, why does somebody feel that, I can't go into the bathroom with my phone, if it's like 5 minutes, imagine.
Well, that's his standard, so we can't. So wait a minute.
That's a very good question.
Donovan,
okay, sweetheart, you cut me off twice.
Let him make one comment and then Donovan go. Go ahead, Claudia.
I'll give it to him.
Oh, I thought she asked me a question. My bad.
Yeah, I did ask you. I said
go
why.
Go ahead, you take it.
What was the question? Go ahead.
The question was why are you not okay with a woman going to the bathroom and taking her phone with her, going out and like going to the bars with her friends? Like, why is it such a her kicking her out situation?
He didn't kick her out.
Okay, number one.
Well, she kicked herself out.
Oh, okay, thank you. She kicked herself out, right? That's the first thing. Number two, I don't owe you an explanation, and I don't owe the world an explanation. I have my standards, boundaries, and expectations for my reasons. I don't have to explain it to you or anybody. I didn't even explain it to Devin. I said, these are my boundaries, standards, and expectations. If you don't want to follow them, no problem. We'll keep it casual. We are having a great time. She decided, you know what? Maybe I do want to hitch my wagon to this guy with potential, and it worked out great for the both of us. Now, nothing is guaranteed. We're supposed to get married, quote unquote, on October 12th. That doesn't mean that we can't break up between now and again. Like, just because I told her I'd claim her as my wife does not ensure my commitment for till death do us part. Oh no, this is a very different kind of marriage. By the same token, I gotta uphold my end of the bargain, because if I slip, if I start doing shit that puts our relationship at risk, if I start slipping off, then guess what? She's got every right to upgrade or leave too.
Yeah, so Donovan, here's my question to you. You set your standards, you set your boundaries, you set your expectations. She obviously had free will to say,
no,
okay, sign me up, or no, this is ridiculous and leave. Totally. What were the standards, boundaries, and expectations that she made for you to say, all right, if I'm gonna live with you, here's what I expect from you?
There you go.
This is a very, very good question. Very, very good question. You see, when a woman is interested, women are hyper. This is one of the many things that women are superior to men at. Women are hyper perceptive. They are socially superior. They are so tightly socially calibrated that when they actually decide in their hindbrain that they want a man, chances are he's probably already fulfilled all of those expectations already. You see, girls, when they...
You are putting your insecurities on another person, even though it's your issue. Okay, so Sass, when you have a boyfriend and he comes home and is like, yeah, I just ate this chick's pussy out. It was so good. She had like the best pussy ever. Like, I cannot tell you. She was so hot, dude. She was so much hotter than you. You would not believe how much hotter than you she was. Oh my goodness. Like, damn. She has another boyfriend. If I could, I would leave you in a second and go be with her. That all of your problems with that are going to be insecurities, right? Every little problem that you have with that, it's all going to be insecurities. Tom, you used the most stupid example that does not apply to what we were actually talking about. It 100% does. It 100% does. You just said you are putting your insecurities on the other person, even though it's yours. That's what you just said, okay? So now your insecurities is either going to stop your boyfriend from going and eating this girl out, telling you that she's hotter than you, telling you that he wants to be with her, or you're going to be okay with it, right? It's what, because you're putting those insecurities on him. It's your insecurities that are going to stop him from doing that. It's your freaking insecurities, not his. He doesn't have insecurities about going and eating this chick out and thinking she's hot. He doesn't have insecurities about that. You do. If we agree to be in a monogamous relationship, exactly. If you agree to be in a monogamous relationship, if he agrees to be in a relationship where they don't bring their phones into the bathroom, they agree to it. That's fine. It's over. Exactly. That's all you have to say. If we agree to do this, then that's it. Done. Thank you. Tom, we are talking about toxic insecurities. Oh, that's right. I forgot. We're talking about toxic insecurities, which means when men have them. Tom L. No. You don't get to change it. You don't get to change it. You don't get to say Tom L. You said you are putting your insecurities on another person, even though it's your issue. That's what you said. That's what you said. And then I named some insecurities that you have that you're going to put on the other person. And now you're changing it to something else. Well, no. Whoa. Let's talk about toxic insecurities. I'm assuming that you're not an idiot. I was wrong. You assumed that I wouldn't read your message to mean something completely different than what you meant it to mean. Is what you meant to say right there. What you meant to say is, Tom, I'd hope that you would read my message and believe it said something totally different than what it actually said. That's what you mean. I'm not changing. We are talking about bad shit that he is doing. No, we're not. We're not talking about bad shit that he's doing. That's the whole point. We're not talking about bad shit that he's doing. We're talking about perfectly fine stuff that he's doing. And then you're trying to give reasons for why it's bad. And your reason is because his insecurity is telling the other person what they can and can't do. And so I gave you your insecurities that will tell the other person what they can or can't do, and you immediately backed off of it.
You see a guy, okay, he might be sexually attractive, but a girl needs to see that he's got his shit together. Okay, does he smell good? Does he, okay, he's a little taller than me. I like that. Does he have...
No. Okay, then explain why it's bad. Explain why it's bad. You haven't explained why it's bad. Your reason for why it was bad is because it was pushing the other person to do things because of your insecurity. That was your reason for why it's bad, but now it's not bad. Now we're just talking about that's just toxic ones are that's the problem with toxic ones. Well, no, the toxic insecurities are already bad without it being pushed on the other person. The toxic insecurities are already bad without it being pushed on the other person. So you mentioning that it's getting pushed onto the other person was completely pointless now if we're changing it to toxic insecurities.
have a good job? Does he have on nice shoes? Does he make a good living? Girls don't even have to ask these questions to know these things. And so when a girl asks me to be their boyfriend, I already know that I have fulfilled all of her expectations. Now, what were Devin's expectations? I don't know, but whatever they are, they seem to be working.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, just know, when you start talking, I'm going to type the things that you say, and I will use them against you. You have the right to remain silent, okay? You do.
Oh, wait, you
have
cut out.
the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Just like
But not
the
in a court of
message in
law.
chat, just like the message in chat that you wanted to back off as soon as you said it.
No.
I will continue to type the things that you say, and then I will turn it back around on you. So you don't have to say words,
Yep.
okay? You don't have to do it.
No. Well,
All right.
I love that you missed me so much. It's been a while since we've had a Sass and Tom mess around. Okay, wait. What I am frustrated with is I feel like you're lumping all insecurities together, and then whenever you're like, oh, what, blah, you always use examples of
What
like
insecurities did I
on the
lump together?
Stop, let me talk.
No, what insecurities did I lump together?
No, I'm saying this is what I'm hearing. So when you're giving like examples and stuff, you're
No,
like,
wait,
well,
wait,
here's a
no, hold on.
stop.
No, you
No,
just
let me
hold on.
say what I need to say. You
No,
jerk.
you can't just say, well, that's just what I'm hearing.
Yes, I
How
can.
am I lumping examples
Okay,
together?
can I-
What does that even mean?
Well, if you would be quiet, I would explain. Jesus. So if like what just literally happened, you're like, when you give examples of insecurities, you're on the spectrum, you're giving an example of insecurity that most people would agree, oh, that's a reasonable insecurity. If your partner comes to you and says, oh, I just ate out another girl and she was hotter than you, that pussy was fire, most people would agree that is a reasonable insecurity to have. And you chose that for a fucking reason.
Mhm.
Right now, we're talking about, on the spectrum of insecurities, about insecurities that most people would say are not as reasonable or a little bit more, could be more toxic or whatever the word you want to call it, or it could be more controlling. Like,
Okay, so
that's why
most
I'm getting
people-
frustrated because I feel like you're
most people
ignoring.
means literally nothing. Okay, you're just saying most people are sexist towards men, and most people have high standards for men, and
Yes,
most
and
people
most women
have very
use
toxic
insecurities as a
standards.
bludgeon to men, like you
Yes.
just fucking said.
Yes, and
That
so
means
this
nothing
is
what
yes.
you just said. Cool.
Yes,
Okay,
and
thanks
so
for
this
just.
And so this
using-
is why you saying most people does not make it wrong. It doesn't mean anything. When you say most people are okay with this, that means literally nothing. You have to make an argument for why it's bad. You can't just say, well, it's bad because most people think it's bad. You have to actually make an argument for why it's bad.
I can. Yeah. So if we're talking specifically about like the phone usage thing, if you're not trusting your partner to like simply go take a shit and like play a game on their phone while they're taking a shit, and then based on an insecurity, you give ultimatums or you like have controlling behavior, like I have to check your phone every time if you go away from me. That is a result that's stemming from a more like bad insecurity or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
You just
And
said
yes, I
nothing
agree
there.
with no.
You just said nothing. You're just telling me what you think about this, but it's all incorrect. Like again, you have to tell me why it's bad.
Okay. You not listening to me clearly.
I listened to you tell me that you think that is bad. I disagree. So it's not bad. Now tell me why it is bad.
No, why? Yes, and I acknowledge that your gauge of what's a toxic.
No, I can
everyone's
tell
idea
you
of
why
what-
it's toxic. I can explain it to you. I can tell you why something is toxic.
Okay, well, But you don't think it's toxic.
Right, exactly. Because I
Why?
can't explain why it's toxic. But you can't explain why it's toxic, yet you do think it's toxic. So when we were talking about, no, you did not. You just named a bunch of things and said, and I think that's toxic. You didn't say why it's toxic. You just said it is toxic.
It becomes toxic if it's like resulting in behavior that is controlling or abusive.
Okay.
No, would you not?
Yeah, sure. So controlling is
generally
controlling is another thing. It's a whole other road that we would have to go down. So like when we're talking about, what was his name? Is his name Noah? What was the guy's name? The celebrity that had the Instagram girlfriend.
Need more hints.
He didn't want his girlfriend, who was a surfer, like wearing.
Oh no, my brain is.
Jonah Hill. Okay, yeah. I keep wanting to call him Noah, but it's Jonah. So he had these rules about like, you know, who she could see and not see based on like his insecurities. It is one of the things that we talked about, is that like if it gets to the point where he's now putting boundaries on her that are going to make it to where she can't hold healthy relationships, she can't have like a healthy amount of people around her to where she can have family, she can have friends, she can see other people, she's able to like have a healthy social life, then now this is where it becomes toxic and abusive. That is when it becomes a problem. But the problem is that you cannot have healthy relationships with other people. The reason for that also is because if you're like, it's a key abuse tactic to like block people off from all of their other loved ones and all of their other friends so that they can't get in your head and tell you that you're being abused and that you're in a toxic relationship. So you try to like put up walls around them to stop every other influencing voice from getting in their head, right? That is when it gets toxic. But just saying, hey, I don't want you hanging out with that person, I don't want you hanging out with that person, I don't want you hanging out with that person, that's not bad. That in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's only bad when it gets to a certain point. You are giving me things. So I just explained how it's bad and why it's bad and the negative outcomes and the things that we would be afraid of in these scenarios and why it's unhealthy and all of that, right? I just explained all of that. You are not doing that in return. You're just saying it is toxic and it is bad, but there's no bad outcome here.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that if I don't get to go into the bathroom with my phone, nothing bad comes of it.
What? What do you mean? If you are accepting of that bullshit idea.
I don't know how else to say that. If I don't get to go into the bathroom with my phone, nothing bad comes of it. Therefore, it is not bad.
Oh,
if I want to say something is bad, I have to be able to explain bad outcomes from it.
Okay, I know I'm jet lagged, but what the fuck? Like, but if you want to go and take your phone into the bathroom while you're taking a shit,
if I want to eat another girl out and then tell you that she's way hotter than you, no, you can't separate these. I'm trying to get
I can.
No, then do it. That's what I'm asking you to do. Why is one insecurity different from the other? Explain it.
Because, like I said before, like when you're for most monogamous relationships, that is built into the relationship. Is like there's some basic shit. Is there not? Like if you're in a monogamous relationship, you're hopefully not going to cheat on each other.
Why? Why be in a monogamous relationship?
I know you're going to say, because you have insecurities. I know what you're going to fucking say.
No, that's what you're going to say. That's what you're going to say. You're the one being asked the question. You're going to say, it's because I don't want him sleeping with other people.
I'm trying to point out, but there's like a difference between like those basic rules that you agreed to versus like then there's a fuck ton of other rules, right? You decide as a couple.
You can't keep saying
yes, I can.
It's normal.
Hold on,
it's okay.
both of you.
That's not the same thing. It's not okay just because it's normal.
Please. Okay, so the point is, and I think that this is something that you're both missing, is that there needs to be a level of trust in a relationship. If you can't even trust a person enough to go into the bathroom without messaging some other fucker, then you really are in a serious problem.
Sure, but that's
the
a different
toxic
story.
part of it.
No,
it's not, because it's really what it comes from. No, that's where it comes from, and you can't actually convince me otherwise, because that's exactly where it comes from. He doesn't like the person going into the bathroom. No, well, you are having that conversation.
No, I'm not having a conversation about how much trust you have to have in a relationship. Okay, if I'm in a relationship with somebody that I don't trust and I want to be in a relationship with them anyways, you can't tell me I'm not supposed to be in that relationship. I can choose to be in a relationship with somebody that I don't trust if I want to.
Yeah, you can be in a toxic ass relationship if you want to. That's perfect, but it's still toxic as fuck. It's still inconceivable for you not to be able to have enough trust for a person to have their phone in the goddamn bathroom. That's illogical. That part is illogical. If it was a different kind of insecurity, I would get it.
That's not illogical.
It is completely illogical. It's illogical.
You
it's
don't know
garbage
what logic
and bullshit.
is. You don't know what logic is. You think that's illogical. All right. If you're gonna yell over me every time I start talking, I gotta just remove you, because I'm trying to have a conversation. You're coming in and just diverting onto something completely different.
Not diverting into anything.
You are.
I'm literally telling you, it's about trust. Is it not? Is that not the basis?
No.
What's the basis then? Having the phone there?
The basis of what?
Of what he's asking.
Yes, because he doesn't trust her. Yes.
Hi, I'm Dave.
So
can I make an attempt at
it's the same thing that I was
everybody on
talking
the same
about.
page?
It's the same thing that I was talking about with Angela the other day, where I was saying that it's actually probably healthy to put more boundaries on things. Where I say, I don't want you flirting with other people. I don't want you going out and hanging out with a guy by yourself. Like, these are actually healthy boundaries that you can put on a relationship. Even if you trust them not to do anything, it's probably helpful to both of you to have those boundaries on the relationship anyways. But lots of people just don't trust the other person to go out and be alone with another person, and they put those boundaries on the relationship because of that. That's not wrong. There's not a problem.
I'm confused where the disconnect is coming in, because Tom, you're acknowledging that there's healthy boundaries, healthy
there have to be negative consequences.
But then there is toxic.
Negative consequences. Stop saying toxic. We're talking about right and wrong. There have to be negative consequences from the thing in order for it to be negative.
I don't
What's the
fully
negative
understand
consequence of having the phone in the bathroom?
I just want to make one statement and see if everybody agrees, because I think it might help to bridge the gap. And if you all don't agree, I'll leave either way. I just want to, okay. So can we agree that the insecurity isn't the thing that's toxic, but a barrier set by because of an insecurity can be toxic?
It can be, but but that's not the toxic
But it
thing.
isn't innately. Correct.
But that's the whole point.
At all.
But that's the whole point, is that saying a barrier because of an insecurity, you're adding in the word insecurity unnecessarily. It doesn't matter. Now we're just saying barriers can be toxic. The fact that it comes from an insecurity adds nothing.
But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to divorce the insecurity from the toxicity, because the insecurity itself isn't the toxic element.
Exactly.
It's the barrier that somebody's setting to deal with their insecurity might be unreasonable, and that is toxic.
Exactly.
But can we acknowledge this is not how normal people talk? So when people are calling out your insecurity, they're not gonna play the little game of okay, we got to separate the two. No, when people are I'm gonna just call it this insecurity, I'd like to think most people understand what the fuck they're saying, what they mean by that.
I don't know. I mean, a while ago, normal people called black people the N-word. So maybe that's that. Maybe
you're
that
being
was
an asshole.
No, I'm not, because you keep going back to normal. No, you keep going back to normal. You keep going back to what most people do.
Because you're acting like you don't understand what
stop.
No.
I'm about to mute you. You keep interrupting me every time.
Because you're being a bad faith asshole right now.
I am not.
I do actually agree with the bad faith a little bit, by the way.
Okay, I don't
People
care.
are being
So
bad faith.
you're going to what normal people do, and that means nothing when I'm asking you what is right or wrong. So when I say, okay, well then is it normal to call people the N-word in 100 years ago? And you say yes, and so I say, okay, well is that the right thing to do then? You would still say no. You don't care what normal is. That has nothing to do with right or wrong. It means literally nothing. If we want to talk about how men talk about women or talk to women or sexist things they do to them, if that's normalized or patriarchy is normalized, you wouldn't say, oh, well, that's okay now because it's normal. It's the normal thing to do. You don't care what's normal. You care what's right or wrong. So don't keep telling me what's normal. That doesn't mean anything. What's right or wrong is what means something. And you're not making the argument about what's right or wrong. You're just telling me it's normal.
But I feel like you sort of understand the right and wrong, but you're just being a dick.
No, I do
about the
understand the
language of
right
it.
or wrong. You understand what's normal. And I'm telling you that it is not. So you know how like lots of times people would talk about like how talking to women like this is bad. And people will be like, oh, no, it's not. It's not a problem. You're just being a big baby. Like women are so sensitive, blah, blah, blah. Right. But then we start learning like more and more that there are negative consequences about the ways that we treat women a lot of times. And so we start trying to improve the ways that we engage with women. Right. The fact that it is normal is the problem. And the fact that people talk about men this way and treat their insecurities this way is the problem. But you continuously going back to the normal thing is me pointing out that the normal thing is the problem.
Why all the women in chat are so fucking frustrated is because
they're sexist.
No,
No.
you probably had one bad experience where a girl like called out your insecurities and you got butthurt about it, and this is what's coming out.
No, this never happened. I'm not an insecure person. You
are
this.
taking this. No, but like you're playing dumb when women are calling out insecurities like for the wrongness of it. You're getting hung up on how they're not separating the feeling from the toxic action or whatever the guy is doing. But like we're having a separate conversation just about the toxic actions, and we're calling it insecurities, but you're getting hung up on it.
It's sexist.
That's what's fucking happening.
You're trying to normalize sexism, or it is normalized.
Oh
You're
my
trying to
God,
defend
you
it.
drama queen.
Okay, again, I will ask you for the 100th time, point out where the thing is bad. You will not do it, and I know you won't do it because you can't do it because you just want to defend sexism. That's all you want to do, and you're upset because you don't want to be called sexist.
You're not being bad faith at all, Tom. Oh no.
I'm not. You won't point out a bad thing. You won't point out a bad thing, and I'm being bad faith.
Okay,
did I not say what's about trust? Like that's the problem, that there's no trust.
You're going off on something different.
For being sensitive to people's feelings. Like
I'm not calling him an asshole.
You both called him an asshole at some point during this.
No.
Yes, so.
Because
the point
Sass said, "Tom, you're being an asshole," and you said, "I agree."
Yes,
that's calling him an asshole.
We're talking about the bad thing that comes from this. We're talking about the bad thing that comes from this, and nobody will point it out because it doesn't exist.
What are you talking about? You just said that there are toxic outcomes. If
Stop saying
the outcomes are
toxic.
bad.
Stop saying toxic. Bad.
What word do you want me to use? What word do you want me to use then?
Bad outcomes. Negative
wrong.
outcomes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying there are? Did you just literally say there's 0 bad outcomes that will come out of?
I said you will not point out one. There isn't a
controlling behavior is not a bad outcome.
Hold on, you can't just call it controlling. You can't keep doing this. You're giving me characterizations instead of bad outcomes. You're giving me a characterization of the outcome instead.
Okay, but where is that bad controlling behavior? Where is it stemming from? It's stemming from that insecurity. In my brain, I'm not fucking separating it.
There we go. Yeah, it's the insecurity. The problem is the insecurity. I told you.
It comes from that. They're connected. You wanting to separate it is like, why can't we talk? They're like related.
You again, It doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's bad, it's
matter.
bad.
If you want to make,
no, it doesn't. Stop
want
talking
someone
over
to
me.
change
I'm
their
gonna.
behavior.
I can't talk to you if you're just gonna keep doing this. Like, it's obnoxious. You're just calling me bad faith, but you just will not let me get through a sentence. I'm not gonna keep asking you the same thing over and over. You will not point out.
You keep asking me that because I just said.
What?
Then if we're looking at outcomes that are negative, one example is the person is like being controlling.
Oh my god.
That's causing harm to the other person.
Okay, what's the harm? What is the harm?
Harm is that controlling, abusive, or like behavior.
Again, you're going in circles, Sass. You don't have to see
this.
this.
Abuse isn't harmful. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, do I need to explain every process? I'm sorry. I'm assuming that you're intelligent enough to fucking.
Stop. Okay. I asked my girlfriend to take out the trash. And I just realized that that's abusive and harmful. And you say, well, how is asking her to take out the trash abusive and harmful? And I'm like, well, you don't think toxicity is abusive and harmful? What? Like, I'm not actually saying anything that's bad. I just keep using words like toxic, abusive, harmful. But I'm not saying what's abusive and harmful there. There's not actually something abusive and harmful. I'm just calling it abusive and harmful and toxic over and over and over, and using those words to bounce off one another. Toxicity is bad and bad is harmful and that's abusive. But I'm not actually saying what is abusive or harmful.
Being in an environment and raising kids in an environment where there is no trust between the couples is harmful and dangerous.
That's insane.
Yes, it's true.
Okay. That's retarded. Saying
nope,
there not being
retarded.
Trust is
retarded.
Harmful. That is retarded. Just saying that there's not trust is harm is insane. That is actually insane. That there's not trust is harm in and of itself is insane.
Do you think that there can be a solid, stable, and good relationship without trust?
That's different. Not having trust
That's
is not
what
the
I'm
harm.
arguing.
No, you're not. You just said not having trust is the harm. That's what you just said. You just said that.
Which is exactly what happens when the person is basically saying you can't even take the phone into the bathroom. There's no trust there.
I can't with you people. You're talking in circles. You have to see this. I hope you guys watch this back and see that you're talking in circles. You are not pointing out an actual thing that is harmful. You keep giving me characterizations of things that sound bad, but you're not telling me. So, like, if I say, look, somebody shooting a gun at me is harmful, you're like, how? I'm like, well, when I get hit with the bullet, it tears through my skin and it could actually kill me and I might die and I could get infected and I'm losing blood. I have a ton of things that I can mention that are actual harm. Like, I can mention the harms. I can point them out to you. I don't keep saying, well, shooting bullets is bad and the bullets
I already said they're raising kids in the environment is comparable to the kids.
We're not. Wait, why are we talking about kids? Where did that come from?
Okay, this is.
Yeah, that's again.
This is so stupid. Like, Tom, you acknowledge that there.
Wait, where did kids come from?
Exists.
What?
Harm is, like, you're not stupid. So this is why I'm so frustrated. It's like,
ridiculous. This is insane.
No, this is ridiculous because you're playing this debate bro shit where I'm gonna just keep asking the same question because you don't know how to describe harm. And then you just assume
you guys have not even attempted to answer. No, I know what abuse is. You don't know what it is.
You can't have a first conversation about the actual issue.
You are not going to answer the question. I know, like, it's. I'm not going to keep asking the same questions. Like, I'm not. I'm not going to do this.
Already answered.
No, you did not.
Already answered.
No, you
didn't.
I did.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
clearly.
Okay, bad things are bad. That's your answer. Well done.
No,
bad things are bad. No, that's your answer. Bad things are bad.
Lead to bad outcomes. Period.
Yes, that's not.
Those environments lead to bad outcomes. Without trust, you can't have a healthy relationship. Without trust, you can't build a good relationship. And yes, that might be a little bit circular, but at the end of the day, you need good outcomes. You need good people. You need good things, and you need trust. Trust is the building block of a relationship. If you don't have trust, you don't have anything. And if you can't trust a person to take their phone into the bathroom, which is just such a stupid minuscule thing, what happens when they're not together? What happens when they're alone? The phone's still going to be there. So it's something so minuscule that it's really just creating a big insecurity in the person that needs to be addressed. Why do you feel this insecurity? Why do you feel bad about it? What makes them tick? That would be perfect. If he could just answer that, that'd be like, cool, okay, we can work with that. Instead of being like, oh, this is our boundary and we can't cross it.
Dating women actually kills babies. And that's that. Like, that's just the way it is. Everybody knows this. Dating women who kills babies. Everybody knows that. Everybody understands this.
Being in a toxic relationship hurts families.
We're not talking about families. We're talking about a relationship. Nobody has kids.
Oh,
here.
well,
we're not talking about kids.
Family,
It's a
they
totally
have
different
kids.
relationship.
They have kids. I'm sorry, but they have kids.
Okay.
Did you not know that they have kids?
Okay, even.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bro, all right. So if he said, I don't want my girlfriend sleeping in a bed with another man, he doesn't trust her, right?
It's not comparable.
So now it is comparable. He doesn't want his girlfriend sleeping in a bed with another man. Nope. You would say he doesn't trust her, and now this is a toxic relationship because he's not trusting
ridiculous.
Her. I'm not. You guys are not separating them. I'm asking you to separate these things, and you can't. And you know you can't. And this is the problem: is that you are acting like these are all the same, but they're not the same. And when I point things out to you that are the same,
you mentioned the kid thing, right? And you didn't actually address the kid thing, right? You're just using another example.
No. I'm saying okay, fine. No, I'm saying okay, fine. No, fine.
Okay,
being in a relationship, no, because you can't. I'm saying it. Fine, I will engage with that argument. If you're saying that just not having trust is going to hurt kids, then cool. He does not trust his girlfriend to sleep in a bed with another man. Does this hurt the kids?
Wait. What?
Exactly, right?
Being in a relationship without
it's a terrible example, Tom. It doesn't even come close to the thing.
No, you can't engage.
Yes, I can engage.
You can't engage.
It can hurt or it can't hurt. Because
then
what,
answer the
is the
question.
kid going to be there? Is the kid going to be there?
Is the kid going to be in the bathroom? Is the kid going to be in the bathroom?
No.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. That's not a...
So he can actually sleep with another person? Perfect. They can sleep with another person.
Can I ask you a question?
If there's trust, there's a big difference.
We should let sick talk.
I just want to ask you a question because you keep bringing up monogamy in relation to insecurities. First of all, when you're asking to be in a monogamous relationship with somebody else, you're not saying, I'm afraid of you fucking anybody else. You're asking for exclusivity to their intimacy.
Right? Why?
But even
why?
Well, this was going to be my question to you. Do you recognize that there might be other reasons that are way more valid that people might prefer a monogamous relationship as opposed to the idea that they just don't want you to fuck other people?
No.
So monogamy wouldn't simplify the dating relationship for an individual and allow things to be focused on one another so you can build a life together. That wouldn't be like a compelling argument for monogamy.
You can build a life together without monogamy. That doesn't...
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Most people probably don't see a feasible way to achieve that, though, outside of the bounds of monogamy.
But that's...
Which is why they don't prefer poly, which is why they don't prefer open relationships.
No, I don't agree with that. I think that if that was the case, you just would be in an open relationship and neither one of you just both wouldn't sleep with other people. That's just, you just would happen to not sleep with anybody else. But you wouldn't put the bounds on that relationship and then break up over somebody sleeping with somebody else. Or if they came and said, hey, just this one time, I want to go sleep with somebody else. Like, you would be okay with it, right? Because it's just once in a while, like, it's not going to screw up the whole thing.
Hold on.
Right?
The establishment of the rules isn't rooted in insecurity. The reason you wouldn't want a third person introduced sexually or intimately or emotionally would be because it's introducing the complexity you wanted to remove in the first place when you chose monogamy.
Wait, but you're choosing monogamy because of your insecurities. Like, you're doing it because you don't want them to be with other people. You don't want them to be with other people because you're insecure. Like, this is all the same thing. It's not the other things are like you can allow it, like it wouldn't be such a big deal if people went outside the bounds of those things otherwise.
Okay, so do people engage? I mean, I guess to take it in the reciprocal nature, do people engage with polyamorous or open relationships because they just happen to lack that insecurity about their partners fucking other people? Or is insecurity still a thing that's introduced in those kinds of relationships?
They aren't insecure about the person having sex with other people. They're insecure about
I would
other
disagree.
things.
I would disagree.
It comes up all the time. That's why there's all these TikToks talking about how to deal with your insecurity in your polyamorous relationship.
I know there are, but those are the people who should not be in polyamorous relationships. Like,
Yeah.
this is consistently said. If you have like a gut wrenching sickness when you find out that your loved one slept with somebody else, you should not be trying polyamorous relationships. You should not be trying open relationships. You shouldn't be trying swinging.
Okay, can I break down that logic that you just said real quick? Okay, you have insecurities about your partner potentially fucking other people. So instead of engaging with a polyamorous or open relationship, you should stick to a monogamous one. Okay? You are a person who has an insecurity that's being let's say your girlfriend, or before she was your girlfriend, posted thirst traps. Instead of dating the girl who posts thirst traps, you should not date people who post thirst traps. The fact that you engaged with a relationship despite those insecurities is probably toxic in and of itself, especially when you're expecting the other person to conform to the needs of your insecurity.
First off, if you know that ahead of time, sure, you should probably mention that ahead of time. Getting into the relationship with the person and then realizing you have those insecurities, you should mention it when you find out. Like, as soon as you know that this could be a problem for you, you should mention it to the other person. Whether you're in a relationship with them or not, you should always tell them, I am insecure about these things, and I may not be able to be with you based on these things. Like that, there's not a problem with you telling that person and giving them the option of either not doing those things and not being with you, or not doing those things and being with you, or doing them and not being with you. Like, it's always going to be better to give them that option.
Yeah.
So, Tom,
Unfortunately, a lot of people rationalize it away and try and convince themselves that
I'm
they're
not
not
having this
insecure.
conversation with 4 freaking people that are all confused.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Hang on.
You are the most confused, yes.
Nope.
Okay, so when I first tuned in, which was only a few minutes ago, it sounded to me like Sass was kind of using circular logic and making tautological arguments that you didn't agree with the tautology of, because she was using very generalized, weighted words that are basically doing all the heavy lifting for her, like toxic and such and abusive. What I want to know, Sass, like, what was your core argument that you were trying to get across to him?
I guess, like, I was just getting frustrated because it felt for me that he was separating the insecurity from like a bad action that would happen based on that insecurity. I felt like a lot of people in chat were discussing it like they're connected and they're like, and would just say insecurity. Then Tom was like, well, no, it's just, we should just not say insecurity. You should just say the action is bad.
No. Numerous people in chat literally said, we are separating them and we're not saying that insecurities are bad. But then others of you were saying, well, no, insecurities are bad. And so there were 2 different arguments from 2 different groups of people. Kiki said numerous times, the fact that he's insecure about this isn't bad. We can just talk about like the bad outcomes from this. But other people were saying, no, it's bad because he's projecting his insecurity onto this person. Sass, you are the other person who said this. And so now you're saying the insecurity is the bad thing.
Well, the fact that like if with the Jonah Hill thing, it's like, sure, yeah, you can be insecure, but if that's your issue, and if you're like, I don't want to, you could go off and go talk to a therapist and deal with that issue by yourself, or you're saying this is your problem.
Yeah, and so you
Instead of
not
just
wanting your
saying-
boyfriend to eat out another girl is your problem,
God.
and you need to go speak with a therapist about that. You need to deal with that
You're
on your
such
own.
a dick.
No, you need
Hold
to
on.
deal with that on your own. That's your insecurity. Deal with it.
You're such an asshole
No,
right
you
now.
won't. See, this is what I'm
Are you
talking
just
about.
gonna
You
straw
see
man
what's
the
happening.
argument every time she brings it up?
I'm not straw manning. So, Zonia,
What,
please.
what he
please.
wants, he wants her to break away from the tautology that she's working with, and actually to like substantiate why something is harmful. Like, what is the harm? That's what he's wanting. And so he wants you to explain, because you can't really agree that something is like bad until you can identify what the harmful outcome is.
Okay.
Yeah, but I feel
like wait 1 second, Sass. Okay. So what your problem is that we're saying that actions imposed on other people because of the result of an insecurity, you want the label bad to be put on the action, but not on the insecurity. But my problem would be that how did that person grow to have that insecurity, and what can they do to solve it? And if they're not solving it, is that insecurity the root of the reason for why they're engaging in this toxic behavior that you want to separate from?
What is the
Hold on.
He's doing it. He's doing it right now.
This is no. This is the problem. This is the problem, is you want to say the action is the problem, but then not want to identify the root with it or mess with it at all. But if the insecurity is the root to why somebody is engaging in a toxic behavior, then that is a problem that they need to solve themselves. It is a toxic insecurity in the same way that...
What is
I
the
agree with
toxic
this.
behavior,
Hold on,
though?
wait. Yes, hold on. I agree with this. My issue is that we don't agree that the behavior is toxic. That is the issue. Is we do not agree that the behavior is toxic.
And that's
her reason for it being toxic.
Right?
Yes, the reason for it being toxic is because it comes from an insecurity. And so this is like, you can't keep doing this where you say the insecurity.
No. I think this is to me, this is how you're not understanding Sass. Could you identify to me a behavior that you think Sass thinks is toxic, but you don't?
Yes, the saying I don't like it when my girlfriend takes the phone into the bathroom. Saying that I would break up with her if she took her phone in the bathroom. That I do not think that is a toxic behavior.
To restrict that?
Yes.
Okay.
It'd be controlling, but it's toxic depending on the person's perspective, right? So some people consider that to be toxic, some people wouldn't. So that's the problem with using the word toxic, because it does a lot of heavy lifting, but it comes from a tautological basis where you are assuming that you would both agree on what makes it toxic.
Yes.
Hold on.
So
Okay,
I gotta be clear. I would never do this. Like, again, I am not like a super insecure person, but I also don't have problems with insecurities. And I've talked about this with all of my relationships that like I date girls who are insecure a lot of times, and I'm perfectly willing to pander to their insecurities because I don't want them to feel bad, and I'm more than capable of engaging with those. But when a guy is insecure, we treat these very, very differently than when a girl is insecure.
Okay, so can I?
Because men, when they're insecure, do dumb shit and get violent.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna ask
it could
you
be
a
really,
question.
really bad sometimes.
I'm gonna ask
And
you a
that's
question, Tom,
toxic.
and if you disagree with me, I'll explain to you why my position is the way it is. Do you think in a relationship where these two individuals in a monogamous relationship had no past strifes, would it be a toxic thing? Or at least, let's say, an unhealthy boundary to say that your partner is not allowed to go into a bathroom alone with their phone?
What do you mean past strifes?
So let's say no infidelity or anything like that.
No, I don't think that would be toxic. No.
Okay, I disagrey, but
So,
I would disagree
here's what
because
you
I would
could
want
say.
to know where that insecurity comes from, and I would
Yeah,
imagine.
So this is what Zonia just explained to you, is you keep taking it back to the insecurity, but you're describing the action as toxic, right? And so when you describe the action as toxic, it can't be toxic just because it comes from an insecurity. There has to be something about the action that is actually toxic. The action has to have negative
And
outcomes
if you don't want to have these conversations, then quit generalizing every time you say women do this to guys all the time.
Hold on. We're not talking about generalizing right now. We're saying that you are using loaded language to keep characterizing things as toxic, but you cannot explain the toxicity toxicity. There has to be some
I was
negative
just about
outcomes
to
here.
explain the toxicity, though.
Go for it.
I was saying the only reason I would find it to be unhealthy behavior is because let's say they had a person who cheated in a past relationship. Well, in that instance, it would just be toxic or unhealthy because now you're imposing boundaries on your partner that restrict their own liberty based on your lack of trust of somebody else and continuing with that lack of trust with other relationships. The other way I would find it to be toxic or unhealthy is just based on the fact that it is a normal behavior for people to engage with their phones when they're inside of a bathroom. If you can't acknowledge that, it is normal for people to have
normal. Yeah, hold on 1 second. So here's the thing. You're still going based on the basis of the motivating factor is what makes it toxic. You said because of where those insecurities come from make it toxic, but that's not a really good argument. It'd be better to say like something like this. Being controlling or not allowing your partner to be alone in the bathroom with their phone is harmful because it demonstrates a level of distrust in the relationship that will cause people to further doubt each other in their relationship, which oftentimes leads to them actually cheating and leaving the relationship entirely in the end.
Right.
Like that would be the way to say that, because then you're talking about what the outcome is. That's the harmful part.
Okay, Tom, just so you know,
the difference between what you said and what I said, Zonia, was that you just explained why not trusting your partner might have a toxic result. That's it. If I need to list the outcome every time.
That's what makes it toxic. It's a toxic result.
Is there a single person inside of this chat or inside of this room who doesn't understand what might happen if you engage in a relationship where you don't trust your partner?
Speak easy. Appreciate you.
I feel like it's a non-point.
Thank you.
I feel like it doesn't need to be brought up.
We're getting. Hold on. We're in the middle of an argument about how women are all sexist to men. And they all call their insecurities. Anytime a man has an insecurity, they have to like label it as toxic and bad, and all this other stuff. So this is the conversation that we're having.
Tom is forgetting the golden rule. It's the golden rule, Tom. It's 2 words: believe women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
chat wanted me to say this. Everybody, shut up for a second. Chat wanted me to say this. Hi, I'm Dave. Okay, and now. Can we take this down to like the very beginning? Because we're like starting with already assuming the boundaries and everything. What is the insecurity we're talking about? The insecurity is not wanting to be left. That is the insecurity. The argument is whether the insecurity itself is toxic or not. That is where this whole thing started, is people calling that insecurity bad.
Right.
Not wanting to be alone is not a bad insecurity to have.
Right.
It's a healthy insecurity. It's what we all have as humans.
And that's why we keep saying you can't just say the insecurity is toxic or the cause of the insecurity is toxic. It has to be the action that you're calling toxic. It has toxic outcomes. It's not, the action is not toxic unless the outcomes are toxic. But they keep going back to the root of it instead of to the outcomes of it. And so this is where we keep trying to drive to, is the outcomes are what we're trying to get to.
Because there's 2 degrees of toxicity kind of being conflated here, which is a toxicity to the self versus a toxicity that's imposed on your partner. So if there is an insecurity, hold on. What?
Or in the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, really any relationship. It doesn't even have to be in like a partnership or anything.
Exactly.
But the problem is you're saying, well, we keep going back to the insecurity itself. But the problem is that like people can engage and have their own insecurities and deal with them in a healthy manner. But by the time they are imposing their insecurities on somebody else in a way that is restrictive of their, I guess you could say autonomy in a way that we might perceive to be unhealthy or overly restrictive, given what's normal in society, we would say that person, we would say that person probably already has a toxic relationship with that insecurity in and of themselves
Okay,
without
so
ever engaging with another person.
I've mentioned numerous times, you guys bringing up what is normal in society has no place in this conversation. It means literally nothing. What is normal in society means literally nothing. We're talking about negative outcomes. That's what we're talking about. Negative outcomes, negative outcomes, negative outcomes. But then nobody's going to the negative outcomes. They keep doing this other stuff where we're talking about the, the root or the, like what's normal or like what's expected or anything like that. People can have insane dynamics to their relationships. That doesn't make it bad. That doesn't make it toxic. People can agree to things as adults. They can consent to things as adults, and they can be okay with those boundaries. If his wife is okay with the boundary that she doesn't take, she knows he's been cheated on 1,000,000 times and she feels bad for him. She hates that women did this to him, and she wants to be the one who is good to him and who is faithful and who shows him that somebody can do all the right things and be there for him, and she's not going to do that to him like everybody else did. And so she can not take her phone in the bathroom, and she can make sure that he feels safe and secure because she wants him to feel safe and secure. She wants him to feel that, and she wants to be the one that gives that to him. There's nothing wrong with her doing that. There's nothing wrong with her agreeing to this within the bounds of their relationship. They can have whatever boundaries they want, and this is not a boundary that is going too far.
Okay, but there definitely is a line, right? Because people can like consent to being in an abusive relationship where they're being
this is not a boundary
harmed.
that is going too far.
So I got a question. So you kind of made me think of something. And I'm asking you this question for a reason because it's going to kind of test something. And I'm going to have a follow-up question depending on your answer. Is baggage toxic?
No, not necessarily, no.
Could be.
Like baggage in and of itself is, I don't think I would ever say baggage in and of itself is toxic, no.
Baggage is probably toxic if it inhibits your ability to live a regular daily life, either socially or work life wise. And then it's also toxic if the weight of the baggage is something that you cannot handle unless you offload it onto somebody else.
I liked your second answer. The first one was still a little too tautological. Like,
Yeah. But I don't know how I don't know how many qualifiers I can give before that's going to satisfy you, because I get what you're saying with the tautologies, but
just keep in mind we're looking for negative outcomes.
I mean, you're
every
fine.
Time,
you're fine. She's fine to
time.
play 20 questions. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the point is that
it's
every
good
time
for
we're just
testing
looking
how
for
you use
negative
them.
outcomes.
Yeah, and it's a good way for testing for how it is that you view how you measure something as toxic, because it's a word like there are a lot of words that we use when trying to describe things that do a lot of heavy lifting for us, and they kind of come with the assumption that everybody else in the conversation agrees with how that word is constructed and how it's used. Right. Yeah. And that the problem with a word that has that much weight to it. And
what specific word
is that?
Toxic.
Like toxic.
Oh, just toxic itself. I thought that was my explanation. Sorry.
Is that lots of people are going to have like disagreements about something being toxic. And so you need to kind of break down, okay, what makes something toxic and why?
Right. And so that's what I'm challenging in this conversation, is that I feel like you guys are starting off with this belief that this thing is toxic, and when I try to ask you about it, the answers are because the other things are toxic, but I'm not getting what is actually toxic about it. I'm just getting more and more toxic things that are attaching to toxic things.
You mentioned the trust is eroded, right? Though I want to make that clear.
Yes, again, but I challenged that by saying, okay, so if it's about trust, and that if you can't trust them in the bathroom with their phone, and that's like eroding the trust within the relationship to where it makes it a toxic relationship, then what if she sleeps in a bed with another man? Does this make it a toxic relationship if he does not want her sleeping in the bed with another man and he doesn't trust her to do that? And I'm trying to like get how you guys are separating one insecurity from another and calling one toxic and not the other, and I'm not getting those answers.
Okay, so can I give you the boundaries for what God damn it, Sass. Can I give you the boundaries for what I would consider toxic in the context of boundaries?
Well, So again,
I mean, that's what you're asking for. So
kind of
like,
no, because what I'm asking for is outcomes that are negative. Like, in order for something to be toxic, it has to have this toxic outcome to it. The outcome has to like it. Toxic means like it's spreading negativity, like toxic chemicals or
so
something.
the only way we could really test for this is if I give you a list of boundaries for what boundaries might be healthy or toxic, and then you would just stress test my my boundaries with examples to see whether or not they actually fit actions that would result in harmful outcomes. Yeah, because it's because toxic is a very broad term that we're not gonna.
Not just that, but like bringing up things that sound similar to another thing, I'm going to bring up something analogous and say, okay, well, so like with the trust thing, like, well, you have to be able to trust them, right? Okay, well, what if you can't trust them in the bed with another man? You know, it's not just stress testing it on negative outcomes, but also on the consistency of that line.
Yeah, so at least in the context of like being in bed with another man, let's say I were in a monogamous relationship with you, Tom. Okay. The whole idea of like, yeah.
I'm poly with Tom. It's fine.
Yeah. No need for Tom Simpery anymore. I'm here for you, baby. Okay.
We're all secure here.
You know what? When you're in a relationship with Tom, you get rewarded with 20 Reddit alts.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude. Let's
go. I actually am not going to date you, Tom, because I just realized the semantics in our arguments are going to be off the wall, and I don't want to have to deal with that.
True.
That could be foreplay. Come on.
Oh my god, no. Okay, anyways. Yeah. I forgot what we were. Oh, yeah. So relationships. If we're talking about so let's say you don't trust your partner in bed with another man. Well, if me and you were in a monogamous relationship, the fact of the matter is that in establishing the boundaries of our relationship ourselves, so let's say before we ever label ourselves, okay? Let's just say we're unofficial, or like shortly after we're labeling ourselves, we're like, hey, we actually kind of do need to like lay out some ground rules. The idea is that the reason we lay out these boundaries to begin with is that these boundaries don't really need to factor in trust. So if I say I don't want you in a bed with another man, I don't really need to trust whether or not you would do something with another person inside of a bed with another man, because having the boundary there in the first place is just rules of the game that we agree to.
Wait, but you can't just say that. There has to be a reason for the rule.
Well, I mean, what do you mean?
Oh, hold on,
like
Tom.
the reason
I
for
wanted to
the
use this
rule is
example,
because
basically.
you don't trust them, or because you're insecure about it, or something like that. Like that is the point of the rule.
Hold on. They can't take the phone into the bathroom, right? That's established. What happens when she's alone in the house?
I don't know.
So can she have the phone there?
But I don't know. That's a little bit
as
different.
a sign of respect, if she agrees to the boundary, she wouldn't bring the phone into the bathroom, even though.
Well,
he's
no.
not
So
there.
the point. Hold on, because
Otherwise, she
what
wouldn't be
he's saying
respecting
is
the
that
boundary.
he doesn't want her alone with the phone. And he's saying that, like, if she's alone with the phone, then her being alone with the phone is when she's going to go and, like, text these ex-boyfriends. And so he's saying that her just being alone in the house with the phone now is already the same exact thing. And I'm saying I don't know, but that's, like, a different... that's a different thing at that point. But I think it, like... if he's like cutting off all of her access to a phone, then yeah, of course, at that point, like it's obviously going to be a bit abusive, because that's
okay. So the difference between not being allowed to sleep in a bed with another man isn't like yes, it's oppressive in its nature, but it's also part of the ask that I am giving when I say I want exclusivity to you and your body and your intimacy. So like you can't have one and the other. You can't be exclusive to me and also be in intimate settings with another individual.
But again, if I'm saying the intimate part, you're saying I want this intimacy with you because of insecurity. You can't use that as the reason when I'm saying that is based on off insecurity anyways.
Yeah, you're wrapping a lot into insecurity, because people don't necessarily just engage in monogamous relationships because they're insecure. There's usually
I don't think that's the only reason, but I do think that that is a massive part of the reason. Yes. Especially if they're not married. Like, if they're not married and they're just dating, like, then yeah, for sure. If you're just dating and you can have sex with other people, like, it's definitely about
I think the most common reason is just because that's what most people grow up with, and it's just kind of what they know. So they expect relationships to be monogamous. It isn't about insecurity.
I think
I mean, we are brainwashed into loving monogamy. It's everywhere. It's so. It's so
I don't care about monogamy.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't
I'm
matter
a homo,
because
so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
I'm
because it
asexual, so
seems
it doesn't
like
matter.
it's also you're brainwashed into being jealous when another person is with somebody else, and you're brainwashed into that insecurity. It seems, and so like it just seems pretty common that people are going to get jealous and feel sick about the whole thing, and like the insecurity is part of being brainwashed into the whole thing. Like, it's a package deal.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I think for most people, it's just kind of in a way almost like a tradition, but not try hard tradition. Just like that's what you're raised with. That's what your grandparents did. That's what your great grandparents did. That's what you know. Like that. Most people grow up with the expectation that they're going to get married to a person, and that's going to be their lifelong partner.
I agree with this, but I also know that people get like very, very insecure just from like their boyfriend looking at another girl, or girls get very insecure with like their boyfriends.
Yes, but that's not the motivating factor for the monogamy usually. The motivating factor is just the fact that it's the norm that they grew up with and the expectation.
Stop. Hold on. It doesn't matter when you say motivating factor, because if you take away whatever it is you're calling the motivating factor, that the point is that those boundaries would still be there because of those insecurities. They would still be jealous in the end, and so it doesn't make a difference.
I think it makes a difference, but I agree with you that it's part of, like, it's there. It's going to be there for most of those people who are in monogamous relationships, sure. But I don't think that it is. I don't think that it's a factor in why it is that they're in monogamous relationships.
Yes, I'm not saying that either, but I'm saying why they won't be out of a monogamous relationship is based on that. Yes,
I agree with that. Hang on, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Quick related question for the pro-monogamy.
Hey, wait. Pause for a second. Zonia's going to the bathroom.
Yes, everybody hold. Silence. Silence.
We'll put the BRB song.
Okay, well, this question doesn't affect Zonia because it's for the people.
Dave will sing an elevator music song for you guys while I'm gone.
Sure, I'll sing Backstreet Boys or something.
Actually, I gotta go to the restroom too, so I am gonna.
Wait, I gotta go pee too. Can we all take a pee break?
Yeah, I am gonna turn the soup song on, and
hey, I gotta pee so bad.
All right.
Because it's
I
going to
think
be
you're
about
gonna-
monogamy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really qualify for that.
I'm gonna
one.
give this a couple more minutes, and then
Yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna
just
go
calling
back
me
to
a hoe.
talking with Sass. So,
I
but,
understand.
all right.
Oh no.
All right, so
Only
I have
Sass?
a question.
Yes.
That
You cunt.
The only one
that
thinking me.
monogamous
She's the one who was going off in chat. She's the one who jumped in here. She was the one who was evading literally everything. So yes, she's the one that I'm gonna.
She wasn't evading
It was being
anything. I feel
perfect.
like you were going out of your way to interpret everything she said in the worst possible way. And then
didn't
when you
interpret
reiterated
anything
it,
she
hold
said.
on,
Always do
hold
that.
on. When you reiterated it, you
night for
reiterated
me.
it in the least charitable way as well. So you can say she was dodging shit. It felt like you weren't even having a conversation.
I have very little faith that you understood what was happening. Zonia jumped in and
Tom.
literally explained it all in detail, what was happening. And then you were doing the same exact thing, Sick, that she was doing. And Zonia, again, jumped in and explained literally what you guys were doing and what I was explaining over and over. So I'm not freaking crazy here. You guys are just using loaded language and using tautologies to go in circles of abuse and toxicity and bad and all of this stuff over and over and over without
I
ever
literally
explaining the
sat
bad
there
thing.
and I was like, hey, I can give you the boundaries for what I consider toxic. And you said, no, I actually don't need that for this
First off,
conversation to continue.
no, I didn't say that, first off. Secondly,
Right. I'm paraphrasing, but.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I said that if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm also going to test your consistency, and then we moved off of it. I never said, but that was also after the things that we're talking about, and after Zonia jumped in and was explaining all of this. Like you're saying that before you jumped in, I was doing all of this like bad faith-ery, reinterpreting, and I'm saying that somehow other people are hearing exactly what I'm hearing, and I'm explaining what's happening, and then Zonia jumps in and explains exactly what's happening. And then you guys start to change the way that you're talking about it pretty quickly when Zonia says exactly what I'm saying. So I'm not being bad faith. I'm not reinterpreting anything. You guys are just like using circular logic over and over.
Hold on. I'm not.
Well, and to help support his case here, I literally was only listening to the stream for like 3 minutes before I jumped in because I had just gotten done cooking my food. I was like, what's going on here? And I've heard enough to be able to go, oh, I know what's going on here. And I jumped on to help clear things up.
Well, that actually invalidates anything you have to say because Sass was talking to Tom for more than 3 minutes. Okay, so
well, that's what I mean. Is that I heard 3 minutes and I could tell automatically what was going on. That there was a problem with like using a tautological argument and having circular logic. So figured that
can
one
I
out
ask
pretty
my
quickly.
question now? This is to find out what the insecurity actually is. So, for those of you who are monogamy only for relationships, do you believe that the reason you don't want your partner to cheat is because of jealousy, or because you think if they cheat on you, they might leave? If you knew that them cheating on you would not lead to the end of the relationship and she would still want to be with you fully and not have anything to do with that person again.
Okay, so I'll answer your question, but I don't know if it's not going to answer you directly. The reason why I prefer monogamy is because it keeps the dating or the intimacy simple. It means that there's two individuals who can work together towards a common goal, and we don't have to complicate it any more than that. The minute a person cheats, they're betraying very big boundaries as far as like the rules of the game that we both agreed to. And if you're not going to play by the rules, well, I'm at a disadvantage here. And all of a sudden there's things being introduced that I shouldn't have had to account for. So I'm going to exit. Okay.
You didn't answer his question, Sick.
So what I'm saying is my monogamous preference isn't rooted in insecurity. It's rooted in function.
Okay. So let's say you felt like you could have a successful open relationship with your girlfriend and the complications that you're afraid of wouldn't happen. You would be okay with her sleeping with other men.
Okay. One, I would never prefer an open relationship, but let's say I did.
No, yeah,
I'm not afraid of her sleeping with other people. Like, I mean, generally, I probably could vibe with like an open relationship, but no, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. That is not baggage that if the partner introduces that I want to have to deal with.
That's not what I asked. I'm asking if you would have like the jealousy or insecurity. Like neither one of those things would take place if she slept with somebody else. You wouldn't be jealous and you wouldn't have any sort of insecurity about this. You wouldn't be afraid of her leaving or anything.
It's very likely that I would. I think most individuals, almost all individuals would.
Right. So the point is that everything you're talking about, we're like, well, this is the reason I have this relationship. This is the point. There's utility in this. That we're saying, well, even if you take that away, you still wouldn't do this because those insecurities exist. And so you continuously bringing those up don't matter because you still wouldn't do it even if those didn't exist.
You're making an assumption here. Because if I didn't favor the functionality, of a monogamous relationship, you're assuming that I still wouldn't engage with an open relationship because my jealousy or insecurity would be too high. But that's not the case.
Okay. Okay. I don't believe you, but okay. That's fine.
I don't think I'm going to get an answer to my question from Sick, but Tom?
What was the question again?
It's probably the jealousy or the fear of them leaving.
Right.
I think
is more the problem.
I think it's probably both. I don't know if I could put one over the other. I don't know if I've analyzed it enough to know that, because generally that's part of what jealousy is that they're engaging with somebody else and you want that intimacy with just you. And a lot of times the reason you want it with just you is because you're afraid of them leaving. And so I don't know that I can actually separate the two. If
you knew that them cheating on you would not result, or not cheating on you, sleeping with another partner would never result in them leaving you, would you still be jealous?
No, probably not. The only way you could ever invoke jealousy in a situation where I have a detector knowing 100%, the detector reads 100% today, your girlfriend's still not leaving you. The only way I could ever invoke jealousy is if she had introduced some comparison between me and the other person, and there was some deception involved where I had been betrayed on a truth basis, not so much on a whether or not she's gonna leave. Insecure.
I'm trying to vacuum those things.
I think the answer is yes. We're taking that stuff out. So I think the answer is yes. I think I would still have an issue with it. Yeah.
Sass, do you agree on the same type of basis or no?
I think it's a combo of all the things of being. Well, for me personally,
hold on, wait. His question is a yes or no question. He's saying, if you knew that they were not going to sleep or they weren't going to leave you, that they would come back to you, and that they love you more, and that maybe they don't love the person at all, they have no feelings for that other person, would you be okay with them going and having sex with that person?
No.
Okay. Just to piggyback off of some people are saying if you cheat, I leave. In this scenario, you actually wouldn't invoke cheating because you would assume that the rules accept this.
This is allowed.
Sleeping with other people.
Yeah, you're allowing this in this case. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm basically working off of a rules negotiation type of basis. We're deciding the boundaries of the relationship.
Yeah, so it's a hypothetical where that they're gonna come back to you. You know for sure that there's no feelings involved. They don't love the other person, and that they love you, and that they want to be with you. They just want to have sex with that person a couple of times, here and there. The answer is, would you let them go have sex with that person? And yeah, my answer is definitely still no.
No.
If I can answer the question, I'm just like Death Pearly things. I'm just a pick me. You can cheat on me. Someone pick me.
Okay. I just happen to disagree with that, so that's why I was curious if it was the same for you guys. Because I think if there was no fear of them leaving the relationship, I have no problem with a more open relationship. If there was a guarantee that we were going to still be in a relationship at the end, I would be less wary of them sleeping with another person.
Dave, I'm incredibly jealous as well as possessive, so that's a definite no by me.
Oh,
hey,
no.
Scorpio Venus, okay?
I mean, just look at the behavior with Tom.
Whatever the fuck
Anyway.
that means.
Hey, but I at least acknowledge that within myself, and there's times
That
where
you're
I have to be. Yes, where I have to stop myself and be like, okay, I know you want to say something or do something crazy right now because you're thinking worst case scenario. So you just gotta like stop, breathe, and talk myself down.
Yeah.
I've had to do that before.
Wait.
There does
Okay,
need to be a
Tom,
little bit
before
of
you start,
self-control in a relationship as
Tom,
well.
before you start kicking everybody off, I wanted to ask you this because I think it's an important thing that I had a problem with. Is it felt like you were really putting a lot of weight on women for bringing up insecurities in general, and framing them as bad things. Whereas, like, to me personally, I don't think people are bringing up insecurities unless it is escaping the individual and having some restrictions put on them that they feel are unreasonable. Do you think it's fair to point out people's insecurities at all, or are you just saying like blanket it's just a bad thing to do?
So I'm saying that when people say it's only bad when it forces the other person to do something or not do something, I'm saying that is part of like when Sass that's what Sass said, but she still acknowledges that even if she knew the other person wouldn't leave her, she still would not let them go have sex with somebody else, right? She's still acknowledging that her insecurities are still going to stop that person from doing other things. And so my point is that that's not actually somebody's boundary on when an insecurity becomes toxic. That's not really when they think that this is an issue. And so I'm pointing out over and over that the lines that people think they're drawing on when an insecurity or a boundary from an insecurity becomes toxic is not actually that thing. And I think that insecurities from women are very well accepted. I think that we're very commonly accepting women's insecurities about being fat, about wearing makeup, about like all sorts of things that like women just have a lot of insecurities, and we're okay with this, and we understand this, and we're very sensitive to
women
those
don't
insecurities.
punch holes in walls.
But men's insecurities, these are things that we also tell men, like, you need to be more open about your feelings. You need to talk about your problems. You need to be open about these things with somebody. But then when they are, we also shame them for it. And when you say, well, the problem is that you're insecure, you're saying the insecurity is the problem, and now you are shaming men for being insecure, and it is an emasculating thing. Men are not supposed to be insecure.
Yeah,
and so
one
just
thing-
saying
the
insecurity is the problem is the bad thing.
Do we shame them for opening up about their feelings? Like, I know that there's sort of like, the way I see it, there's sort of a we're not quite there yet kind of thing, where we're trying to get men to open up more about their feelings and express themselves emotionally, but there's still a lot of like expectations placed on men by women in particular, straight men, straight women, to be the strong, stoic rock for the woman. So
and
there's
this
like
is
there's
part of what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah,
This is
I would-
exactly
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
The thing I think I have a problem with is that I would say that in society, amongst men and women, there is a lot more acceptance of men expressing their emotions and or insecurities, but I think there's still enough women and there's still enough men that no matter where you look, like if I were to say like there's 10 people in front of me and like 8 of them are accepting of me expressing my emotions, there's still 2 people there who are willing to vocally say that I'm kind of weird for like just laying this out there, that it's gonna like it's still gonna give the perception of this like really repressive, kind of like oppressive society that doesn't want you to speak out about your experiences. So
yes, I agree with this, but I wasn't talking
hold
about one person in chat or 2 people in chat saying these things. There was a whole wall of women shaming this dude for his insecurities.
Who is this?
Oh yeah, I mean, there was trolling. Hold on, I did want to say though, I did want to add something, by the way, because you mentioned insecurities in women and insecurities in men.
Sharpe.
One of the things that I did notice is that the insecurities that you mentioned are more like personal insecurities, like being fat or makeup, yada yada yada. But a lot of the male insecurities are about the projection of what the other person does, not the things that make you insecure or feel insecure about yourself. Get what I'm saying? Kind of.
Well, no, because it is both. So like women want even what Zonia just brought up. Women want a man who is stoic, and this like who you're with says a lot about you as a woman. And so like the guy that you're with having a good job and having and not being emotional and being a leader and like all of these other things is something that she also feels secure in, and these are things that give her like security and safety in the way that she feels about things. But it's about you doing those things in order for her to feel secure as well. And we know this, and we're accepting of this. We all understand this, and this is perfectly fine.
I think what like every straight man needs in a relationship is a gay side piece. That'd solve that problem.
Yes,
true.
But hold on.
I just want to give a quick closing statement, and then I'll go.
This is important. Sorry, this is important because one of the things that I have heard a lot of red pillars and actually a lot of relationships is that when you're placing your insecurities on the other person, that really is what messes you up a lot. Like, you ain't shit. You're not bringing money in. You're not doing that. That can really break a relationship and break a dude a lot when a woman doesn't believe in him. It's kind of like the same way of like if a dude doesn't believe in the woman, that breaks her down as well. It's not the same as like a personal insecurity. Like when you do that, no. When you have certain expectations of the other person, that can really erode the relationship itself. Again, you're not bringing enough money. You ain't shit. Why aren't you working? Why aren't you this? Like a nagging wife is like the stereotype of like the one that breaks down a man, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you're getting at.
That's basically the same kind of insecurity that Donovan Sharpe is projecting.
Wait,
the one that erodes the person, not a personal insecurity.
They don't shame women for wanting status. They say, go get yours. They say, go get yours. It's good. Like, yes, nagging and that sort of crap is different. But wanting to find somebody with those qualities is like something they are fully accepting of.
In order for the red pill to work, those are the qualities they need women to have. Because they need the women to only go for the men who are achieving higher status.
No, yeah. But what I'm saying is that Tom used that example. Like, women do actually project those insecurities on men.
Wait, yes, that's what I was saying. Is that that's literally what I was saying. Is that they are projecting their insecurities on men. That's what you said. The type of insecurities that women have are insecurities that aren't actually projected onto the other people. And so I gave a list of things where I said, no, these are insecurities that are projected onto the man, yet these are still accepted within society. And then you said,
I don't think they're accepted, though.
They are. Women looking for status, women wanting a guy who's not emotional and stoic and like all of these other things. These are accepted within society.
I'm sorry. Can I just say I know women idealize this like perfect man who's stoic and he's there and he's a problem solver and he doesn't really have all this baggage that he ever shares with his partner. Women don't know what they want. If they're saying shit like that, they've just got this Prince Charming of a man that would never settle for them in the first place. Like, no offense, it's not realistic. It's kind of like when content creators tell viewers that they don't actually know what they want when it comes to content, because sometimes viewers just suggest dog shit drama.
True. Yeah, sure. But
cover Kate and then nobody cares.
Yeah, just to like close that out. That doesn't change anything. The point is that these are things that we're accepting of and that we're okay with within society and that we don't shame women for. But real quick, I'm going to let all of you give your closing statements real quick, and then I'm going to kick you up. Dave,
I want to go first. Just while people can still remember what the questions I asked were. The reason I asked those is because if the insecurity is toxic, which is what the original argument was at the very beginning, was that these insecurities are toxic insecurities. All three of you have admitted that you have this insecurity of both not wanting to be left and jealousy. So if you all possess this toxic insecurity, then why are we demonizing it? If most of society seems to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Am I going next?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I would say it's not always, you have to look at the root of these issues. It's not just the insecurity, it's the relationship a person has with it and how they engage with it. And that's not always just behaviors you're gonna see exerted on other people. A boundary or an insecurity can be toxic to the self without anybody else ever noticing it. Plenty of men off themselves for those same reasons. I would say though, just take care of yourself. I don't even know what to say. I actually I kind of just hate you right now. I really hate you because you're cutting off this conversation really early, and there's things I could say, but I'm not allowed to because you're also streaming on Twitch.
He's giving you blue balls. Is that it?
He already left. All right, Lou, go.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm good. I mean, at the end of the day, I wanted to basically get the conversation going, right? Like, there are insecurities that are pretty messed up. There are insecurities that are very reasonable. The problem is, again, for me, it's trust. Especially with the last example that I gave you. Like, what happens when they're not in the house? Like, she's still going to be alone with the phone. So making such an arbitrary, like, you can't go into the bathroom with it, it's just a little bit absurd to me. Like, maybe if there was, like, something more to it. But that's when you think about the other scenarios, that's when it starts like falling apart, in my opinion. But that's really it. I wanted to help out Sass a little bit because I felt that she was floundering, and you were just rolling her. You bad man.
Yeah, right, dude. She would not stop interrupting me. You are a liar, dude.
I love you, Tom.
But so let's save the woman's insecurities here.
Wait,
That's the thing. Yes, come in, White Knight, coming to help the woman with her insecurities.
Call me a bundle of sticks, Tom. Call me a bundle of sticks.
Get the hell out of here. I love you.
Love you.
I'm okay with white knighting, especially tonight.
I came in to clear things up, but also to kind of give some more weight to Tom's side. I guess I was kind of like white knighting Tom.
You're white knighting my insecurities.
Let's see. My time to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think I cracked the code. All right. 2 words. Gay side piece. All right. See you guys later.
Well done. All right. So we started off by saying the words you say can and will be used against you.
No. This was your plan all along.
You jumped in. I didn't ask you to jump in.
Let's yell, and then you're going to get a bunch of people on. And then you're going to get me
into
sleepy.
the VC.
And
you called me into the VC.
Because it's hard to type all caps short sentences.
Yes. Okay. So the point is, insecurities are not the bad thing. Insecurities lead to bad things sometimes. And so you want to be able to have a handle on your insecurities. Lots of times, a good way to have a handle on your insecurities is to draw boundaries within your relationship. So you telling the other person that you're with, hey, I have these insecurities. If you did this, that would be really helpful to me. These are good ways to handle your insecurities. Or to say, you know what, if you're doing that sort of thing, I'm not able to be in a relationship with you because I have these insecurities. These are healthy ways to deal with your insecurities because like just bottling them up, just trying to deal with it is generally not a good thing to do. So you vocalize these things and try to create a contract with the other person that makes it so that they can help you with your insecurities.
Okay. You understand that, like, when I was hearing you talk about this stuff, you made it sound like there wasn't a spectrum of insecurities or the idea of like reasonable or like healthy version. What my brain was interpreting is like you're just like, well, you can have whatever insecurity you want and you can express it however you want and the other person can just deal with it or not. That's
I
how
definitely didn't say that.
I was
because we even started off with me talking about the I can't remember. I'm going to call him Noah again. But how Noah had his relationship, and I pointed out how he had his insecurities, and he drew boundaries that were healthy within that relationship. But he could have drawn boundaries that were unhealthy, that there is a line where eventually those boundaries that he's drawing become unhealthy and become toxic and become abusive and become problematic. And so I was showing that, like, just the insecurity isn't the problem. It's the way that he deals with the insecurities. And that, like, I showed you that there are problems with dealing with insecurities. I mentioned
Okay, but I
examples
felt
of it.
like with Donovan Sharpe, why women and people in chat were shaming or freaking out was because of not just the insecurity, it's his action of saying, hey, you can't do this, and thinking that was not a healthy way to deal with your insecurity.
Yes, and then I asked you what the unhealthy part was, and you didn't answer. And that's where we got bogged down, is you don't actually have an unhealthy part or an unhealthy aspect of this.
Well,
You just
I'd like
don't
to think
it.
you're awful.
Not awful. That's what it is.
No, because I just see, my problem is I assume too much out of you, and you're like, no, you must like say all the obvious things
You're
that I
not
think
saying
are
Sass.
obvious.
Okay,
Okay,
listen,
let
hold
me
on.
say
No, no,
it
no,
then.
no, no, no,
Stop.
hold on,
No,
hold
no,
on.
no, no, no.
No,
I'm gonna say the
no.
thing that you want me to say, but you're just so shut
Okay,
up.
fine. Go ahead.
Please. I like to think that there's an idea of what a healthy relationship is, and that includes having autonomy and privacy to a certain extent. And a lot of people would see that action of restricting the use of your private phone is a cross over that line of healthy into a non-healthy. Because that's going in restricting your privacy and autonomy too much.
Okay. So this is giving me a headache. So as soon as you say it's restricting your autonomy too much, you are assuming the bad part. This is what we keep bringing up, is that, like, every time asking for the bad part, your answer is just another thing that assumes the bad part. It's not actually answering what the bad part is.
But I
So
feel
when you
like
say too
then
much,
you're assuming
you are
there is no
assuming...
line.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yes,
The
you are.
line is
But you're
where
acknowledging
there
there's
is
a
a bad
line.
thing. The line is where there is something bad. I'm not just going to keep saying it's too much, it's bad, it's toxic. I'm going to tell you what's too much about it. I'm going to tell you what's toxic about it. I'm going to tell you what's bad about it. I'm going to tell you all of those things instead of just saying that that's the case. So lots of times when you challenge somebody on an idea that they truly believe, they can't explain it, yet they hold on tight to it because they really, really believe this thing, especially when it's a normalized thing. They really hold on tight to it, but they can't explain it, and they still believe it anyways. Even though they know they can't explain it, they still hold on to it very tightly, and it doesn't make sense, and they're okay with it not making sense because they truly just want this to be the case. This is what I feel like is happening here, where every time I'm asking the same questions, I'm not getting the answer, I'm just getting the same tautological loaded language over and over and over.
Because it's like, first of all, obviously I'm not like a professional where I like therapist where I can be like, here's the clear lines of like when it's abuse. Here's the clear lines when it's like not healthy. I have a general sense of like what a healthy relationship is. And that includes like what I just fucking said was having privacy and autonomy.
So
but also I acknowledge that like everyone is like idea of how much privacy is going to be different.
Yeah, so I
think
lots of times
I'm
will
not
look
stupid.
at So I will lots of times look at something that a woman requests and be like, oh, hell no. I would never put up with that. Like, I no shot I would be in a relationship like that, right? But that doesn't mean that I automatically think it's wrong for them to have that within their relationship. It doesn't mean I automatically think it's toxic to have that within the relationship. But I do know that my preference is to not have that within my relationship, right? That this is like what Mio does with, like, you know, open relationships, or the girlfriend having an OnlyFans. Like, he knows he would never deal with that. therefore it's like toxic and it's bad and it's all of these other things, when he doesn't actually have a reason for why those things are bad. He just knows that he hates it and therefore it's bad. And I feel like you're taking your personal preferences for a relationship and saying, yeah, I would never deal with that because I feel like that's going to restrict me too much and I want to be able to do what I want with my phone. And that's perfectly fine. When you go into a relationship with a guy like that, you're just going to say, yeah, then I can't be in a relationship with you because I want to be able to take my phone in. And that would be the end of it. But once you agree to that rule and then go into the relationship with the person, that in and of itself is not a negative thing.
Yes, I feel like people should know what their boundaries are, and if someone establishes a boundary or asks something of you that you're not comfortable with, yes, you should have enough sense to say no and end the relationship. And that goes for both people. Have an actual healthy relationship. You should own your shit and know if you are being unhealthy with expressing your insecurities.
I agree.
But
I don't agree that's the case here. Like there isn't anything unhealthy about this necessarily. Like, so you
just
brought
like
up a
I
good
feel
point
wait.
that says like this is like if he's consistent with this and says, yeah, you shouldn't be alone with your phone, that means she can never be in her car with her phone. That means she can never be like left at the house with her phone. That means that she can't ever go anywhere where he's not there with her phone. Like that is insanely unhealthy. Like that's a ridiculous thing. But when we just take her walking into a bathroom with her phone, that in and of itself is not a problematic thing. Like that alone is not a problem. And then when everybody's answer to that is, but he's insecure, they are making the problem his insecurity.
That's the root of it.
Yes, but that's not a problem.
If he had a healthy relationship and is sick. The fact that you have a toxic relationship with an insecurity is why you would call the insecurity a bad one, because it's not universally bad. It's a bad insecurity for you.
No, because you can have that exact insecurity without the request of the action. So the insecurity is not bad. It's the request of the action that would become bad. So it's totally different. Like
you requested the action.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
You know,
it doesn't matter. That's not the problem.
That's
the
whole
problem
point of,
is not the insecurity.
You wouldn't be asking for that action if he didn't properly deal with that insecurity that is inside of him.
If a girl breaks up with me and I shoot her, the problem is not that she broke up with me. The problem is that I shot her, right? If he has an insecurity, the problem is not the insecurity. The problem is how he deals with the insecurity. These are separate things.
Not just
These are completely separate things. No, you just said that if he deals with it poorly, the problem is the insecurity. And I'm saying he can have literally the same insecurity and not have the problem. So the problem is never the insecurity.
If he was dealing it in a healthy way, then it wouldn't be, and probably that insecurity wouldn't exist anymore.
That's not the same thing, though. That's not the same thing. You can have the same insecurity and deal with it in a healthy way. The problem is how you're dealing with it. I just fucking said that. No, you didn't. You're saying that you're going backwards, saying that because the way you're dealing with it is bad, then the insecurity is bad. And I'm saying the insecurity is not bad. The way you're dealing with it is bad. That's the only bad thing. No matter how.
This is literally every fucking fight we have. Literally. Every fight we have is like, we're pretty much saying the same goddamn thing, but you're being insane.
Okay, again, the problem is not the insecurity. The problem is how he's dealing with it. He can have the same exact insecurity and be just as insecure and deal with it differently. Okay? It is never the insecurity that is the problem. It is how you deal with it that is the problem. That is what we're talking about. Just how you deal with it, not the insecurity.
And not just fucking say that.
Okay,
we're not saying that.
Okay, if that's what you're saying, then you do
Earlier.
not think the insecurity is the problem.
It's just word games. It's just like
it's not word games. I keep saying
Yes,
this,
it
and
is.
then you
Yes,
say
it
that's what
is.
I'm saying, and then I repeat what I'm saying, and then you say I'm playing word games. If you're saying
You
what
are.
I'm saying, then it's not a word game. But if
wait.
you aren't saying what I'm saying, then just disagree with me. But don't agree with me, and then when I repeat what I just said, you say it's a word game.
Those women who are reacting to the Donovan Sharpe thing, they're reacting again to the action that because he's not dealing with his insecurities properly because he's asking her to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We disagree on that.
Okay, again, we agree that he could have the same exact insecurity and deal with it differently, and we would not think anything of the insecurity. The insecurity is not the problem. The problem is how he's dealing with it.
You don't think that's what the women are saying? Again, what I just said, asked you, when those women are criticizing Donovan Sharpe, like, how are you not seeing that that's what they're complaining about? It's how
they're complaining about him
has that insecurity
projecting
and he's not
his
dealing with it.
insecurities.
He's not, yes, he's unhealthily dealing with his insecurity, which we both agree that that's the issue. And that's what the women are talking about. But then you went on a huge tangent about how women just blanketly say all insecurities are bad. And like,
Nope. They said the problem is that you're projecting your insecurity. And I said projecting an insecurity is not a problem. So again, that is not the problem. Like, we keep conflating too many things into one thing. They are not the same thing. These are all separate things, and they are putting them all into one thing and then saying the insecurity is bad and projecting the insecurity is bad. That's not the case. It is not.
Wait, you don't think, like, generally, not this, like, that someone projecting their insecurity, that's always okay? Can never be bad?
I think
unhealthy?
it can be bad, but that's the way you're doing it, not that you are projecting the insecurity, right? People can shoot guns. I can't say the problem is that you're shooting a gun. The problem is that you're shooting it at somebody, right? That's totally different, right? It's not, the problem isn't shooting a gun. You can shoot a gun and it be fine. You can project an insecurity and it be fine. But if you say the problem is you projecting an insecurity, you're saying the problem is projecting an insecurity.
Why I'm saying that is, like, in my last very unhealthy relationship, I was with someone who was cheated on a lot. And rightfully they had insecurities around that, but it caused tension in our relationship because they kind of put that past trauma onto me and kind of assumed that I was going to do something similar. But of course, I'm a different person. I never cheated in a relationship. I don't plan to ever cheat. So, like, no way that can cause issues in a relationship. Like, he didn't go the extent of, like, being controlling or anything, thank God. But it, like, still made me feel bad because it's like I felt I was being punished for the sins of other people.
Yeah.
I'm not trauma dumping. It's just an example, Lou. Come on.
I've had similar things, but I was perfectly happy accommodating those insecurities because I wanted that person to feel safe and secure, and I wanted them to see that I was not that other person, and I wanted them to be able to, not have to worry about those other things. Because when people traumatize you, I know that it can make you very untrusting of other people. I understand that, and I'm willing to try to help that person with it if they're worth it. And sometimes in relationships, people can make all sorts of contracts over things that other people would find ridiculous, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. And this is, again, like what we're talking about is like your boyfriend had insecurities. The insecurities weren't a problem, but He made you feel bad in the ways that he was dealing with some of his insecurities. It's the way that he's dealing with it that was bad. You can't be upset that he had the insecurity, and you can't be upset that he was trying to get you to help him with those insecurities. You're upset about the way he was trying to get you to help him with the insecurities.
And again, I feel like the majority of people, when they're talking about this stuff, that's what they're talking about. Is if something is seen as bad or wrong or unhealthy, they're talking about how someone is dealing with that insecurity, either like through actions or just unhealthily dealing with it personally. So that's why my brain is broken, because I'm just like, are we not all on the same page? It's like, when we're all talking about this is what we're talking about. But then you're on another page, and then ice cream.
Yeah, so I say this consistently. A lot of times problems within arguments are that people aren't compartmentalizing separate things as separate things. They're not categorizing things
we do this all the
enough.
time. Like, that's what's driving me nuts, is like, you're like, I love language, yeah, colloquialism, I know how people talk, and people talk differently. And it's like, that's why I'm like, feel like you're smart enough to understand that when people are talking about it, they are meaning this. And that I'm like, why? I don't understand why you don't, like, aren't seeing that, or you do get it, and then you're just being like, this makes me angry, I need this to be talked about more separately. That's
so if people keep saying, like, look, the problem with crime in our country is black people. And I keep saying, wait, it's not black people, like, it's systemic racism, right? And they're like, well, obviously that's what I'm saying. I'd be like, okay, you can't say it's black people though. Like, that's totally different. Like, you can't just say the problem is black people. You would have to say the problem is systemic racism or something like that, right? But if you keep saying the problem is black people, you're putting a stigma on black people that is unnecessary. This is the same thing where we're putting a stigma on men having insecurities, and then we're like, oh, well, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying they shouldn't project their insecurities. But what I really mean is, it's perfectly fine if they project their insecurities. That's not that. There's just no shot that, like, we can say, well, that's fine language to use, and we're just all gonna assume you mean the exact opposite of what you're actually saying.
I would need to maybe hear more from men about them feeling sick is back, getting triggered. I guess it's hard for me to compute that, like, men are hearing that and they're hearing, oh, I can't have any insecurities at all. These women, this is what women are saying.
No, it's projecting your insecurities, right? So we're talking about your insecurities
dealing with it
affecting
in a
the other
healthy way.
person. No, your insecurities affecting another person, we've already agreed, does not necessarily mean you're dealing with it in an unhealthy way. So you can't say the problem is projecting your insecurities.
But usually the shame, like, it's not just like women just randomly shaming shit. Usually that strong reaction is usually because bad action happened or something unhealthy is popping off. Then women see the red flags and are like, oh no, danger. Possible danger.
We can be understanding of why they're wrong, but that doesn't change that they're wrong.
What the fuck?
We can be understanding of why somebody might think that black people are the problem in the country, but
no, stop.
Still, I'm not. This is a logical thing that I'm trying to point out, that, like, these are the same, these are analogous, but we understand why one is wrong. The other one is analogous, but you're not acknowledging the other one being wrong.
Oh, but if broken. So if someone is dealing with their insecurities in a very extremely unhealthy way, should people not point that out?
If a black person is committing a crime and they say black people are the problem, and then I say, yo, don't say black people are the problem, and they're like, well, if they're committing crimes, why can't I point that out? Again, it's about, like, the things that are being said. like you're telling me, well, actually, we mean the opposite of what I'm saying.
No, but it's such bullshit because, like, if I saw if a woman did the exact same thing that Donovan Sharpe said and said, my man cannot use his phone all alone and blah, 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 like, he'd be like, you are insane. You are jealous. Like, you are not a healthy person.
The healthy part is where I disagree. Yeah, I think it's an insane ask. I think that's weird. I think that's a little too far. But I wouldn't say, you're projecting your insecurities. Wow, I can't believe you're insecure. Like, that's not the thing that's going to happen. That nobody's going to do that when it's a woman. Nobody.
But okay, but I think Zonia touched on it either jokingly or not jokingly. Like, don't make me get all feminist shit on you. But, like, there is a history. But then you're just going to be like, well, point out another stupid example of, like, there's lots of examples of, like, men doing bad things because of their insecurities. And so it's, like, not crazy for a lot of women to be more on high alert for that kind of thing.
Yes, again, I can be
and I feel like you're ignoring that. I know.
No, I'm not. Again, I can be
You're not being understanding.
No, I can be understanding
You,
of
like,
it,
got so
but it
mad at
doesn't
women.
change that it's wrong. Like, somebody walking around saying that, like, every time they talk about women, they call them hoes. And I'm like, wait, why? Like, you can't just call women hoes all the time. Like, you're putting this, like, weird stigma on women. And they're like, well, you understand I'm just talking about women. Like, I'm not actually calling them a hoe. Like, I'm not actually saying they're like a slut or anything. I'm just calling them hoes. Like, you know, hoes are hoes, right? Like, that's obviously the...
Okay,
like,
I
the
don't
problem is what you're saying. Like...
No, but I feel like you're saying, like, doing the thing where it's like, oh, you're calling everyone a Nazi, so now it has no meaning. Then it's like, but then a lot of the time, like, just like general unhealthy behavior. Generally, people, if you're doing the unhealthy thing, you should be called out, and as a society, we should be like, hey, this is not healthy. Like,
okay, that's a bit different from what we're talking about, but I don't want to keep going in circles with you. It is, because right now we're talking about whether or not it's okay to say that you know, projecting your insecurities is the problem, when we agree that's actually not the problem, but we understand what they mean when they say you're projecting your insecurities, so it should be okay to just say that. That's what we were talking about, and now we're like, we keep moving on to, like, whether or not the insecure, or whether or not the outcome is actually problematic again, where it seems like we already, like, went over that 1,000 times and nobody's going to point out, like, a problem from it or a negative outcome. So now I'm pointing out that even just saying projecting your insecurity isn't even what's actually happening or what the problem is.
Sick, are you gonna white knight for me some more or what? Go.
Okay, so just to explain why it might be a problem to impose certain kinds of restrictions based on insecurities is essentially, again, I'm going to go back to the fact that I don't think when you're defending Donovan Sharpe, that when he's bringing up insecurities, that this is not rooted out of past relationships, that essentially what you're doing is you're restricting the liberty of another individual and using your past experience as a reason, justification, punish them for something you had encountered with another individual. Also, can I just say, like, the reason this conversation even started, Tom, was because you were defending Donovan Sharpe talking about women bringing up men's insecurities as a bludgeon against them. And the entire reason chat started molding was because you were making the argument that women just bring up insecurities as a bludgeon without ever lending credence to the idea that people could bring up insecurities in a healthy, non-abusive way. And there's a difference between a man venting his insecurities versus like the presence of that insecurity being justification enough to like impose restrictions on another human being.
That doesn't matter if the person is saying that the problem is projecting the insecurity, and then everybody defends that that is the problem. Yes, I'm going to rail on all of the people who are saying the problem is projecting an insecurity, or your insecurity being something, it's bad when it affects somebody else. Yes, that is what I'm talking about. And numerous people were defending those statements. And so that is what I was talking about. No, I wasn't just like going off on some generality, because as soon as I started talking about it, they all started doing exactly what it was I was talking about.
But the minute you say that the reason a person is bringing up an insecurity is purely to bludgeon them, you are generalizing the actions of women.
Okay, they did it though. They did it. They literally did it.
Hold on. There are women who do it. That doesn't mean that's why women do it. There's plenty of reasons why. And to think that that's like either the most common or the only reason, it's just, it's really uncharitable. It kind of lends this idea that men don't also like leverage women's insecurities against them too, and like frankly it seemed like you weren't even receptive to the idea that people could bring up insecurities without it being used as a bludgeon.
Bro, you're just so far off now that I like, you're just talking about something so totally different.
I'm talking about why the conversation started to begin with.
No, I was not acting like you can't ever mention an insecurity like without it being a bludgeon. I did not act like that. That's insane that you would even say something like that. That is wild, bro. Like, truly, that is insane. I cannot believe you just said that. Like, this is insane. This is actually insane. I did not act anything like that, okay? I was talking about the actual language that was being used there, and then people defending that language. That is what I was talking about.
On the SosCast.
Yes. Yeah? Yes. And this is a common thing that women do. Yes. This is a common thing that women do. I did not act like it's impossible that anybody could ever possibly. No, I didn't do that. That never happened. I was talking about in general, yes, people do stigmatize men for having insecurities. And same time, talk about how they need to be more open about their feelings and more open about their insecurities, while also stigmatizing men for having insecurities. This is a well-known thing. I'm not making something up here. This is
You're not making anything up. When you were criticizing the women in chat, who were, by the way, they weren't even defending the idea that like women don't ever use insecurities as bludgeons against men. They were giving you examples.
I was talking about them doing it. The people, the women in chat were doing it. I'm not just talking about
This is what I'm saying. The women in chat weren't doing that. They were giving you valid reasons for why a person might invoke the fact that you're engaging in a behavior as a result of an insecurity inside of a fight or an argument or something like that in a non-toxic or like non-bludgeoning kind of way.
Okay, that's an irrelevant argument. That doesn't mean anything. I didn't say that you couldn't possibly do that. That's like, okay, so great. They pivoted to something completely irrelevant. Thank you. That doesn't matter.
No, they were answering to the rhetoric you were engaging with to chat.
I did not do that, Sick. I can say this again. I did not do that. I never acted like it was impossible to bring up. Huh?
Go back and listen to the VOD.
No, you are making shit up, bro. I was specifically talking, I was obviously speaking in generalities. I did not make blanket statements that this is all anybody ever does and it's impossible to do anything but this. That is actually insane, bro.
Okay, yeah. So you saying the statement, I think I might get this a little bit wrong, but like saying, oh, look, there's women shaming men for having insecurities again. That's not like a general kind of blankety kind of statement, right?
It is a general statement. That is not a blanket statement. No, that is a general statement. What a blanket statement means that this is always happening. It's nothing but this, only this. Whereas a general statement is saying this generally happens. Those are totally different things. A blanket covers everything. A general statement is just like a majority of the time or something common enough to where we can all understand it.
Okay, well, I mean, if you can't engage with the fact that if you say there goes women shaming men for having insecurities, where it
they
really
literally
feels
did
like
that. They literally did that. So yes, I like.
No, we're shaming men for doing shitty things with that insecurity. That's why we're mad.
Okay, you're saying that, but when you say the problem is projecting the insecurity, that is not what you're doing. You are shaming men for projecting an insecurity. That is what you're doing when you say
I'm
that.
shaming men for not dealing with it in a healthy way.
Okay, and you can change your language now to something
Now
different.
I am, 'cause it's
But
not
that's
different.
not what
It's the same
happened
fucking
at
thing.
the time when we're talking about what I said at the time. This is what was being said at the time. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah, just like how you're changing how your tone was when you were like pretty much generalizing how all women fucking shame men.
My
Yeah, you were
tone is
going hard.
changing. I
And
don't
now
care
you're like,
about the
oh,
tone.
it's a
I don't care
blanket
about the tone.
statement.
I
You
don't
should
care
care
about the
about tone,
tone.
rhetoric coach.
No, fuck that. People being sexist and misogynist or sexist and misandrist in my chat is not something that I'm just gonna be like, oh, guys, listen, let's all just kind of like take a chill pill and
I'm not
think about
being
this for a
fucking
minute.
sexist.
I
That's
was
why I
being
got on
very
this
calm
fucking
at the
VC.
beginning of this. I was being very calm and like wording it fine at the beginning. And then everybody started doing literally what it was that I was talking about. And then, yes, then more and more, the more you guys kept doing the thing that I was talking about, yes, the more and more frustrated and loud that I'm going to get about it. Yes, of course.
Hey, would the women in chat like to say something?
Yeah, I just
we're being lumped in together.
You're talking about women shaming men for projecting insecurities. If we're talking about women who have problems with men projecting their insecurities, that is quite different than shaming men for having insecurities. Okay, women are probably going to be receptive to the idea that men have insecurities. They're probably going to be less receptive to the idea that because a man has an insecurity, that they are somehow given the responsibility of accommodating that.
Yeah, Sass has already agreed that projecting an insecurity isn't bad. So I like, again, you can keep changing the argument here, but the actual thing was that the problem is projecting an insecurity, and now everything's changing to, well, projecting an insecurity isn't bad. Like, the bad thing is how you do it. Yeah, that is insanely different. And this is proving my point where people are like quickly, as soon as it's challenged, backing off the initial statements that I was railing against.
Do you have a problem with people projecting their insecurities onto other individuals?
No.
Okay. Other people in chat disagree with you and do have a problem with that, but don't have a problem with men venting and communicating their insecurities.
Okay, well, Sass disagrees with that. She's already agreed that it's okay to project your insecurities, and any normal person is going to be fine with this. Don't change again, dude. Do not flip-flop again. Stop making that noise.
It depends. It depends.
Yes, it depends. Again, it depends on how they do it. The problem is not projecting. The problem is what they're doing.
Again, the disconnect was you were assuming all the women in chat were saying men can have zero insecurities, when I felt like all of the women in chat were not saying that, and then you went on your little tirade against women.
I didn't assume anything. They said the problem is projecting insecurities. That was what was said. That's what I was railing against. That's what was defended. I didn't assume anything.
Obviously, when it's being said like that to this specific example, we not assume that like they're meaning like it's projecting it in a bad way.
You literally said it's in a bad way when it affects another person. You literally said that, Sass. Literally said an insecurity is bad when it affects another person. You literally said that. Okay? There's not an assumption being made when you literally say those words.
Tom?
No, I'm not going in circles about this anymore. I gotta move on. I can't keep explaining the same things. That's just
okay. Can I ask you one question though? Mm-hmm. If a person's projecting their insecurities, would you say that okay? Let's just assume the woman is not just bringing up insecurities as a bludgeon, and she is just being good faith in the conversation. So this is the rare woman, the 1%er. Okay. do you think that if she's recognizing that you're projecting an insecurity, part of the problem is that you're not communicating the insecurity directly, and there's actually some other behavior you're engaging in that is either like a defense mechanism or like a mask for the root insecurity that she's trying to communicate about?
What? I'm sorry, there were too many caveats in there. I lost.
Okay. So when I think of a projection, I don't think like if I'm projecting the fact that I've been cheated on before and I'm saying like you can't go out and hang out with guys, I don't actually care about you going out and hanging out with guys. I just know there was a woman who took advantage of that freedom and she cheated on me. And so we're not talking about whether or not I got cheated on in the past or whether or not I'm going to cheat on you now. Instead, we're talking about whether or not I'm allowed to hang out with guys. So if a woman is bringing that up, she doesn't want to talk about whether or not she can go hang out with guys because she feels like if she can talk about this root issue and kind of like sow some trust in you in that root issue, she doesn't even have to worry about whether or not she can hang out with guys because it should be assumed if she's trustworthy, she should be able to. Do you agree that if a woman is bringing up projection or projecting insecurities in good faith, part of the reason you're doing that is to talk about the insecurity and not shelter it?
Part of the reason they're bringing up projecting an insecurity is to talk about the insecurity and not shelter it?
Part of the reason of pointing out that the action, whatever's being discussed in the fight, part of the reason of pointing it out as a projection of an insecurity is to say there's a deeper issue here and we need to discuss this, not what we're fighting about right now.
No, because again, the issue is going to be how you deal with the insecurity, not the insecurity itself. I feel like I've said this like 1,000 times. No, the problem is not the insecurity. The problem is how you deal with the insecurity. The problem is like how you engage with other people because of that insecurity, not the insecurity itself.
So you wouldn't say the downward boundary of you can't go hang out with guys. That instead, we should be talking on that level instead of saying, hey, I would like to build this trust with you so you don't have to have the cheating scare. That can't be like a valid conversation that a woman's trying to have. It just has to be on that.
It can be. Why are you asking this?
That's because I feel like you're generalizing too much in why women bring up insecurities. And men might internalize it as shame, but they are probably in some regards.
Bro, we've already been over this. I never said that nobody can ever bring up an insecurity without it being like shaming or something. They are capable of doing this without it being a problem. It's not always bad to bring up insecurities or talk about them or anything. Like, these are not things that I ever said, and I've already agreed that this is perfectly possible and it happens. Like, I've said this numerous times now. To go back to that it just seems okay. I mean, I can't move forward in this conversation. This is why I just want to end, because you guys are going backwards over and over. All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Bye. All right. I cannot believe it's almost 5 a.m. I cannot believe it's 5 a.m. and we made it like 15 minutes into this freaking thing. I cannot believe this right now. Wait. Yeah, we made it 15 minutes, yeah. Why would you not want to? Again, Freddie, I'm not saying an insecurity is never a problem at all, or that it's not something you can improve on, or anything like that. These are not things that I'm saying. It's not, these are not the same things. Everybody is like conflating so many other things, and it's just, it's gonna drive me crazy. I can't. All right. We're just gonna have to move on.